Hello, hello. Welcome to Salty Saturday, everybody. I am Donde, excited to be here as always. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining me on the casting desk. Icicles, how's it going, buddy?
What's going on? Not much. Got my second shot today. Feeling good so far. So we'll see
Hell
how
yeah.
it goes tomorrow. But today we're good. Very good.
Well, that's always good to hear, man. I'm glad to have you here tonight because we have, as always, two awesome matches. One Legacy, one Hero, which has kind of been the theme this season. Not intended, but it's just how it's worked out. And we'll be starting with Legacy tonight. We'll also be, if you are Pasca or fan of Pasca's teams, two of his team members in one of each series playing tonight. So lots to cheer for there. But Corridon is going to kick it off for us with the standard THL Degenerates versus Snake Vods of the Bank Yugi fan club. That is right now. This is a pretty locked up week for Bank Yugi fan club. It's not entirely locked up. They're 12-4 with two matches to go. So barring double sweeps on STD's side, they will win. But at the very least, they will have a tie. Icicles, we're looking at Mage, Paladin, Rogue, Warrior versus Demon Hunter, Paladin, Rogue, Warrior. Why don't you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I think so. Snakebots has a priest, not a rogue. Otherwise, yeah, you
Did I
got
say
it right.
Rogue? I meant Priest.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's okay. Rogue's
It's
exciting.
all good.
Priest is essentially not as exciting for some people. I love it, but I'm weird. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. Demon Hunter is not a class we see too much of this season. In fact, only on the red side, six people brought it this week, compared to 31 for the Warrior, which was the most common bring. So we'll see what Snakepots has in mind for that Demon Hunter, 'cause I don't expect it to be banned from Cordon's side. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see a lot of different decks. So not exactly the same lineups, which is always interesting. So
Yes, indeed. And I was completely mistaken. I actually had Rogue up on the screen, but we've corrected it now to Priest. So thank you for pointing that out. I
sure.
must have just looked at the wrong thing or clicked the wrong button. So everything is now accurate. As we mentioned, this is a Legacy Red match. So we're looking at two teams that are coming out of a bye week in the first 2 weeks. They both are only one's 1-0 standard THL Degenerates, and then the Banky fan club is 0-1 right now. So this is a pretty big week for them just to get some points to climb back up in the standings here, which it looks like it's helping. On the side of Banky fan club this week, they're going to be pretty decently situated in the standings, even though they've only had 2 weeks of play.
Especially coming off a loss on the first week.
Right.
Important for them to not start 0-2, and definitely brought it in the first three matches. So looking to just get some more points. And for Standard TGL Degenerates, they did start 1-0 with a lot of points in that first week. So they certainly would have liked to have gotten a victory this week. But at least if Corden and Automated Button can put up some points for them, then it won't feel too bad. But yeah, should be a good match nonetheless. Corden, interestingly enough, casted a match yesterday that I was playing in, and now I get to cast the match that he's playing in. And I messaged him in our hero chat, our hero teammates, and said, "Oh, how the turntables!"
Classic. And it should be noted the three matches that have been played so far in this series. Agent PWE, who we'll see later tonight in the second set, defeated Mr. Python, one of the few that have done that over the last few seasons, 3-1. Pasca got a win 3-2 over Electric Sheep City, and Jolt C with a 3-1 win over Quaz. Jolt C we saw last week on stream as well, off to a 2-0 start for Bank Yugi fan club. So they're looking good. Standard THL Degenerates are scoring some points, which is nice for them. And as you said, this is a good bounce back week for Bank Yugi. Even though they had 10 points last week in the loss, which is fine, they're going to get a lot more points this week. So looking forward to seeing where they land at the end of this week, and then we will talk about them on Palbot or not Palbot, THL Power Podcast. Palbot's gonna have stuff to say, but yeah,
How about it's
Palbot's in
funny
my
to
mind.
say?
I am Palbot. But yes, I'm sure this is a legacy week for you guys. No, last week was a legacy week for you guys, right?
We'll be going Hero and Wild this upcoming week.
Right, that's right. So checking in with Gordon, we're still looking for Snake Vods, paging Snake Vods to. There we go. Bands are in. All right, just got them from Gordon,
Perfect.
and it is. Well, do you want to take a guess first before I tell you? This is everyone's favorite Salty Saturday game.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. All right. So this looking at Snake Vods, he brought the Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter sucks against Paladin, and his two teammates that faced the Paladin banned it. So I think Snake Vods just bans Paladin also. It seems reasonable. For Corden, Mage Priest, or excuse me, Mage Paladin, Rogue Warrior. kind of feels like he might also ban Paladin. Could see potentially banning a Warrior here instead. I'll just say Paladin bans on both sides and see what happens.
You would have been 100% right if you'd gone with the second thought, because
With the
you were right
Warrior.
about Corridon's
Yeah.
Paladin, but it is a Warrior for Snake Fods.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
reasonable.
yeah, no, totally reasonable bans. Anytime you're banning two of the most dominant classes in the game right now, then you're doing pretty good. So yes, Corridon will be on Mage, Rogue, Warrior. Snake Fods will be Demon Hunter, Paladin, Priest, and they are ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the go ahead to start. While I'm doing that,
Perfect.
Icicles, do you think people should subscribe to our Twitch channel?
They absolutely should, and the reason is because if you don't subscribe to the Twitch channel, Dande is going to be super sad, and we do not want Dande to be sad. So,
No.
if you want a happy Dande, subscribe to the THL channel. You will also get a lot more channel points, which can be used to either vote up or vote down your favorite or least favorite Saloon cast members. We got to watch Dande lose in glorious fashion
Boo.
last time around, and Corden actually is our defending champion
He is
on the
indeed.
floor. Get to see plenty of Corden. If you didn't get enough of him last night, then tune in on Monday when he defends his crown. Also, it goes into supporting all of the new tournaments that we've got going on. Our Wicked Sunday tournaments. I forget what the exact name is, but
Silent S in Wicked.
there you go. Yeah, yes, it's Wicked Sunday tournaments for all the prizes that will go out in our mid-season sort of off-color format tournaments, such as Classic, Nodstone, and the like. So looking forward to those, and certainly your contributions to the stream help out the prize pools. So all goes a long way towards making THL the best place to play Hearthstone.
Love it. But what I do not love is the non-cooperative friends list. That there we go. Finally, after the fourth click, we are starting to get into the game here. Corridon will be on the bottom of your screen. Straight Snake Fods will be on the top.
Valera versus Uther.
Yeah, I had the fortunate timing of catching Corden in a ladder match before, so I've had him queued up for spectate for some time now, just waiting for this game to start. So I got to avoid the friends list shenanigans this time around. Speaking of shenanigans, we see a secret rogue for Corden here. No shenanigans in hand, and probably no shenanigans in the deck itself, but it does tend to work out pretty well for the secret rogue against Paladin, which we see from Snakebot's side.
Yeah, we see it looks like the aggro, the aggressive Paladin with that Nerubian Egg in opening hand, but we do see Avenge, so that's a little bit of a different utility.
Yeah.
You don't normally see the secrets run in this aggro Paladin.
Right, yeah, a little mix and match. Would you say this is an aggro Paladin, Dande?
Ooh, I like it. I would not have said that before, but I think we should start something.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the secrets are an interesting inclusion. That makes me wonder if this is really low to the ground. So some of the aggro lists without the secrets have been running Alex, they've been running Talon, some have started to run Gorgine. So I wonder if those are the cuts to make room for the secrets. It'll be interesting to see what other cards Snakebots has included in his list here.
Yeah, everything else seems somewhat standard so far. I guess like the Kazakus versus Cariel of Rome discussion is one that is ongoing. I tend to fall on the Cariel of Rome side, but looks like Snakefods thinks Kazakus is the choice.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that also means obviously no Samuro, probably no Blessing of Kings, all those 4 drops that go together. So that's probably again where the cuts are coming from to make room for the secret package, which will probably be. I mean, the secret package is just pretty substantial with mostly running 2 weapons, 4 to 5 secrets, and the 2 draws. But he's got all the secrets in hand, which is not always what you want to see. So no buffs either yet, but. Fortunately, the secrets in hand aren't stopping his curve, being able to play this Crab Rider and potentially follow it up with Goody 2 Shields and Kazakus. So, a good start from Snakebot's perspective.
Maybe we're thinking about this wrong. Maybe it's a secret paladin with Nerubian Egg in it, rather than the other way around.
Right. I think that probably makes sense. So, and for Corden, he opted to play the Dirty Tricks last turn instead of the Octobot, which kind of sort of maybe pays off for him because pulling Jandice in hand now will allow him to play that a turn earlier as if it was unnerfed. So not the best choices here. Rick Fairgame almost certainly not going to be activated against the Paladin. And Wildfire obviously completely useless for Rogue. So Potion of Illusion, the best of a group of bad choices there for Corden. And we'll see. Snakebot's probably just curving out here. He finally draws his sword, though, so that does give him at least some consideration for a different play.
Yeah, trying to find a way to either activate that Octobot in a way that benefits Corden the least, or just try to kill it all in one fell swoop. But there's nothing really in hand that's going to do that at the moment. So Snakevods will probably have to just activate it and give Corden only a few discounts rather than a larger hand worth.
Yeah, I think the best thing he could do from that perspective is attack before playing Avenge in case of 30 tricks. Unfortunately, he opts to go the other way, but he might end up not hitting the Octobot at all,
Yeah,
which
looks
gives
like he's not going to. Or
Corden.
yeah, no.
I don't think so. So Corden gets an extra opportunity here, and with that Swindle pickup, he could have a whole bunch of cards getting discounted here. But looks like he's going to attack first just to discount the Swindle and then make his decisions from that point.
And there we see 6 or 7 rather. Well, 6 discounted cards because Shadow Step's already 0.
Mm-hmm.
Very good use of that Octobot. Yeah, that potion that we were talking about last turn, the Potion of Illusion, it's usually one of those picks that, like, you don't ever really want to take it unless you get really terrible other picks. I mean, there's some combo possibilities, but it's just so expensive in comparison to what you usually want to combo with.
So Corden trying to navigate these secrets starts with the Wicked Stab to see what happens. Gets a silence on the Merker, which isn't bad. It does give it extra health, but at least you don't have to worry about the Prime coming back around.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, there were, 2 out of 3 targets there. Obviously, you don't want to hit your own thing. I mean, at least you get extra health, but silencing the Death Rattle effect or the Wind Fury effect would either way would have made you happy, I'm sure.
Yeah, so the math doesn't quite work out for this Prize Plunder to kill this McGregor, but it's probably still worth it to hit it and just knock it down. I guess not, so we'll save that for another day. But yeah, this 5-6 now is representing a lot of damage for Snakebot, something that Rogue is not always best equipped at dealing with, unless he finds a Blackjack Stunner here in the next turn or two. Along with the Secret, he actually doesn't have any of that on tap right now, so kind of a tough spot for Corden with Snakebots curving out into this Kazakus. And picks up a pretty good one for this matchup. The Rush copy, basically an Oasis Searcher. So Corden really behind the 8-ball in this matchup.
Yeah, Corden does get a little bit of info there, as we talked. There's a
Shenanigans,
as you had said earlier. The Kazak is coming down, like you had alluded to, cuts out so many 4-drops in this deck. So no Blessing of Kings. I mean, there's a couple cards that you no longer have to play around, unless Snakefoz is a madman and has included them in the deck, nonetheless. But no, that's not the case because Kazakus was active, so unless they're sitting in hand right now, this is unlikely to be the case.
This is a tough turn for Corden. He has options, but none of them on the surface look appealing. You could take a chance that you get something off of Chandis to deal with this board. You could take a chance that you get something out of the Secret Passage to deal with this, but it's a pretty rough spot, at least from his perspective, knowing that it's the Secret version, fewer buffs in the deck, so he's less likely to just get bursted down in this position. So maybe Chandis makes sense. But looks like he's going to opt for Secret Passage. I imagine he is fishing for a stunner here. Let's see if he finds it.
If he finds that stunner, he will also find the Galloping Savior gets activated.
Oh,
Does
wow.
not find it.
That is a
wow, that is just really bad.
Sequence. Yeah. That did not pay off for Corden. I don't mind the risk, but yeah, that probably just locks him out of this game, unfortunately. Right. Snakebot is going to be able to put the Rush Minions on the board and clear off the 1-2 as well as the Ambush proc, set up lethal for next turn. There's really not much that Corden's going to be able to do to come back in this position. We'll see what Snakebot opts to do. He could go a little wider if he wanted. I mean, granted, I don't think you go much wider than 2 5/5s with the rest of his hand.
Right.
But he could have opted to go with the Crowd and Divine Shield instead. But I think this is clearly the best play and one that is going to lock this game up for him.
Yeah, you're more than happy to just go ahead and toss one of the 5/5s away at the 2/3 here, with poison, of course, from the ambush.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any reason why you wouldn't, if there's anything you're afraid of. Maybe you just like having a 5/5 rather than the 3/4 that's going to get traded off. I
Yeah.
mean, we'll see. But
It's going to take a
this one-
miracle either way.
Yeah. So he's looking for that miracle out of Jandis. We'll see if that ends up paying off. Maybe an Earth Elemental, and another Earth Elemental,
Teacher's pet.
a ton,
And a
not
rush.
bad, and a rush, yeah. So here's where not trading off that 2/3 kind of doesn't matter, because I guess it's going to kill the thing that would have died to it anyway. So not the worst options from this either. He's
No.
going to be able to use Prize Plunder, but I guess Prize Plunder doesn't change anything here because he's only played 2 cards and doesn't have an option to play a 3rd one. So
He can use his weapon to kill the Kazakus. So you rush the 4/5 into the 3/4, it's going to die. Use the 2/3 to hit the 5/5, that dies. So it leaves 2 options up on board. If the Teacher's Pet pops out another taunt, you could be alive.
right. Yeah, I think it's probably as
It's
reasonable
still-
as
yeah.
you get.
It's as close as you get to being alive anyway, but there's still no guarantee.
So how many 3-mana beast taunts are there off of Teacher's Pets? I don't know that there are any.
With the core set rotation, I do not know the number off the top of
Yeah.
my head. Well, I say that like I would have known the number without the core set rotation. That
There
is not one
was
of them.
at least one with the 1/4 Silverback Patriarch or whatever.
Yes.
Let's do a quick look up here, and just out of curiosity, while they're getting ready for game 2, let's take a look and see if we can figure out what options would have been there. So, card library. This is compelling streaming information. 3, and we want to look for a beast. There does not appear to be any taunts at 3-mana beast. A couple rush minions. Zixor is there, and that's basically it. So
A rush would
Yeah.
have helped because obviously
much,
not his
no.
turn.
no. But something that potentially, if you had gotten, let's say, the Earth Elemental and the
Oh
the
my.
Teacher's Pet. This is a hand for Corden.
Double Encanter's Flow with the coin is
Into a priest.
just about the best thing you can hope. Yeah, with Primordial Studies and Cram Session,
Yeah.
Corden's going to be drawing some cheap cards.
Yeah, so yesterday I played Mage 3 times and had Flow early in most of those games, Corden spectating. We talked a little bit about my play after, and I made a comment about how I should have coined Flow in one of the games without really thinking about it. So let's see if he's learned the
Man.
lesson that I took from the last game. And he
No
has, indeed.
hesitation.
So good for Corden making the correct play. So
Yeah, highest win rate card in terms of the mulligan in this deck. It is a no minion mage. We saw the Apexis Blast in the mulligan.
Wit is also a weapon.
Sigfod's taking it slow with a little heal. Kel'Thuzad, he's kind of undead, so kind of hoping maybe that does 2 damage. That's not how it works here. Back-to-back Encanter's Flow. Easy turn 1/2 for Corden.
I like the pick from Snakebot of taking this Hothead off
Definitely.
of the Draconic Studies. Just to have something on the board, just have a little tempo. It's one thing that Mage can, in theory, be weak to. Doesn't often happen against a Priest, dealing with a lot of early minions, but from a Priest perspective, you can get in the way. You can force the Mage to use some burn on your minions instead of your face. That is a path to victory. So a decent way to start this game for Snakebots, but Gordon just keeps getting good stuff here with a
Right.
Phoenix he'll be able to follow up with a Cram Session or 2 when that pops, depending on how much pressure he's under from Snakebots. But so far, he seems to be in an okay spot. This looks to be pretty standard control priest from what we can tell so far. Running Zarella. Here are your expensive options. Let's see what he opts for. I like Ysera generally, but probably in this matchup, Proto-Drake makes sense. Again, just to get in the way of the mage's damage. So. Wow.
no, no stop in this draw for Corden. He's got Cram Sessions coming up next turn when the
Yeah.
Phoenix pops. He's got Refreshing Springwater Ran. He might actually run into hand-sized trouble.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, they're trying to spend 2 mana, so it looks like he's setting up to ping off the Scorpid.
Right.
I like Counterspell here. I think it's the option that gives you the most value potentially. So he's going to go ahead and use a Fireball. Interesting on the.
They can always
4/6.
ping afterward here, depending on what he
Right.
gets.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have minded pinging first and then deciding whether you wanted to Fireball after. But yeah, so yeah, I suppose the one way the mage loses is running out of damage. So anytime you're using burn on a minion, the priest is really happy. So and he kind of committed himself to pinging a Scorpid. I think he might have been better served if he had pinged first and then used his mana on something like maybe the 4/4. Even if it gets
Right.
traded off really easily from the 4/6, at least it stops some of that damage and then you still have the Fireball. But
Well, and the Phoenix will pop next turn, and Combustion would be an easy kill on the 6 health, even if it still retained its full health. So
right.
I think the thing you're mostly worried about, priests have a lot of buff spells, a lot of things that make their minions a pain to remove. Apotheosis we just saw get drawn in a Snake Fozz's hands. That's one of those things that always stays in the back of your mind. You never really want to let minions live for a priest if you can avoid it, and so I think that might have been what Corden was really kind of thinking there, if I had to guess. But
Yeah,
a no turn here for Snake Fozz, just heals himself and passes.
Right. Not Gordon needs to count cards in his hand, and I mean,
Cram Session's
Fireballs.
yeah.
Yeah. So the problem is if you Cram Session, you could play a card. Really, the only card you can play. I mean, I guess you have options. Fireball's an option. The minion's an option. You could risk burning a card. I don't mind playing the Rhyme Tongue and then Cram Session and potentially burning a card. It doesn't feel great. Like Keyword and Ivory kind of gets you in the same position. So
I would say at least Key Warden gives you the activation of the Ring Toss in this turn.
right.
I mean, you've got the Occult Conjurer, and you actually have a secret in your hand and Ring Toss, so you're going to be able to duplicate it later on. So I like holding on to that, but he's going to go the route that you mentioned, Fireball Cram Session here. And Mask of Cthulhu, Cone of Cold, Springwater. Okay, so you can just bust out the Cone of Cold on your own dude if you want to.
Yeah, I would have probably rather burned a card. You've already
Yeah, I
played
think
both
so,
fireballs.
too.
I guess the worst burn in your deck is maybe Mask at this point. The 2 Apexes. But you're gonna be able to draw as much as you want. So even if you do burn one of those cards, you're gonna find the rest. So yeah, just kind of an awkward position for Corden to be in. The other thing too with throwing that fireball face now is how much healing Priest has. I mean, they're basically going to negate this entirely in a turn or two. Generally you want to try to throw all your burns at the same time, over 1 or 2 turns. Like the more you spread it out, the easier it is for the priest to heal and keep themselves out of lethal range. Dust Repair is a nice pickup here. Just to knowing the mage's plan, it's a great counter to that plan, especially now that you've seen both fireballs from the deck. So.
Yeah, more than happy to give Corden health if it means that you live longer. And, Snake Fozz and Priest no longer has that infinite value generator in Galakron, so you got to find other ways to eventually do some damage. Though Corden, at this rate, he is 8 cards ahead into Fatigue than Snake Fozz. So, 13 cards left in the deck. So if you can just survive the onslaught of damage, you will win in this matchup, particularly for Priest.
This is an interesting choice for Corden. He has the Occult Conjurer. He could opt to play Ring Toss for 1 secret and then play 2 4/4s, or he could have played the Conjurer to corrupt it to get 2 secrets, kind of the value between a 4/4 versus a Discovered Secret. And he ultimately goes for neither and just plays the Mask on an empty board, which is generally something you want to do. And something that Snake Fozz, again, is going to have potentially some time to figure out the healing, but now he's just going to send Perfect on the board and tell Corden if you have it, you have it, but right now Corden doesn't. He very well could find it, though, with the Springwater.
Definitely could. Yeah, lots of options in hand here. Probably going to play the same game, try to get mana free for that refreshing spring water in order to not burn any crystals. Ooh, evocation. Another Mask of Cthulhu.
Yeah, I like taking the mask here.
It's already in your deck for a reason.
Right.
Goes with
The
Flurry.
Okay. So
Likes the 0 mana. Get, a little bit of hand negotiation there.
yeah, again, I think you want to save that flurry, just in case you get devolving missiles, because you kind of wasted it at that point. But we'll see what he goes for here.
Goes with Ice Barrier is the first secret pick. Netherwind
Huh.
Portal was on that first docket. Didn't get taken. I kind of like that, knowing that you're probably going to see a spell. And what was the second pick? It was Mirror Entity. All right.
Okay.
Rapid fire pick of the Phoenix. That comes down again.
Yeah, I think he's gonna play the Conjure here. To
And
follow up.
there's so many Mask of Cthulhu in hand. Oh,
I know he's going for more secrets. Interesting. So he's just gonna load up his entire roll
Yep.
of secrets. Imagine this is another one, then
Oasis Ally and
Counterspell.
Counterspell.
Interesting. Does not
Avoided that
have
Netherwind Portal every single time.
Yeah, that's surprising. That's a really good secret against Priest. He's really missing devolving here, with that mask in hand.
Have to assume there's 2 in the deck, which means it's a 25% draw off of the remaining 8 cards in the deck.
Mm-hmm. Just interesting secret choices, interesting sequencing, choosing not to play minions. I mean, yeah, they do die to Zarella, but like, you still have to kind of be proactive a little bit with minions. Burn isn't always enough to get there. If you're able to chip away with minions at all, it really makes it tough on the priest to keep up with the damage. And he's got 2 1-mana combustions that, depending on what comes out of this, could follow up with a mask here.
Keyword Ivory also could have been the initial play, because that can give you a devolving as well, as that's a dual class card. But just going to go ahead and combustion first.
Yeah, so it looks like you might combustion and mask, and potentially combustion whatever comes out, but kind of an awkward sequence regardless.
Yeah, I think saving the Mask of Cthulhu for the pop of the Phoenix makes more sense. This is actually a pretty low value 7 mana drop here, only 5/5.
Still has a lot of mana. You can opt up on a power and see what he gets off of that.
Works against me.
He's taking a lot of time on these turns that you don't have a lot of things that you want to kind of think through and give yourself as many options as possible. Study looks pretty good.
He'll get a second copy of it. And another Phoenix.
And Solarian seems to make sense with how low your deck is. You're very likely to get it back into this game.
Yeah, at this point, Apexis Blast represents 5 damage. You don't necessarily care as much about the body. So even if that Solarian Prime will end up in the deck and disrupt the benefit that the card would normally provide, the additional benefit, it's not really that big of a deal to Corridon at this point.
So these secrets might end up paying off here, getting a Sethek off the Mirror Entity, followed by potentially an Oasis Ally off of the trade. Gonna give Stankots a little bit to navigate here in this turn.
I think he's looking to see how he fits Zyrella here, because if you Apotheosis the 5/5, yeah, you can Zyrella clear this board.
Right, without trading at all. And you brought the Ice Barrier, you don't care about Ice Barrier at all. I don't even think you're considering it's a possibility. So, yeah, the
Vaporize
the
would be the other one.
Right. Yeah, Vaporize doesn't exist anymore. So, interesting.
It's been vaporized.
So it looks like he's just going for maximum Veilweaver value here.
You know, I kind of like leaving the Sethek up because it's going to create more hand issues for Corridon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I liked it over trading for sure, but I probably would have liked this Zero play just to clear the board. But and he is really devolving missiles away from a good time here. So let's see what he opts to do. I think you're almost committed at this point to drawing the rest of your deck and trying to
again,
find that.
assuming 2 of them in deck, that's a 1/3 draw at this point.
Yeah.
So if you cram session, you are going to Well, you're gonna overdraw one card.
All in due
He's gonna overdraw one card.
Oh, he's gonna
almost
overdraw two
another.
because he's gonna get a pre-spell as well.
Could just throw the Phoenix down and then do it because the Phoenix won't give you more cards. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, be interesting how he plays the rest of this.
Well, Solarian allows him to Apexis Blast. Yeah, the Apexis Blast the Militia.
Right.
Get rid of it. No more healing on board.
I guess he's just opting not to draw.
Shadow
Playing
Form
Shadow
is
Form's
an
not
improved version of his hero power.
Yeah, you don't mind that, but he's definitely looking at this mask, which makes a lot of sense. So, more interesting. He bumps the Sephic. I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't you take the health off, so it's less likely to get traded out of Hysteria maybe, but I don't know. You probably could have just committed to throwing all the damage base.
Now Snakebot still has that Zyrella at his disposal, but
He
not
doesn't
as many
have
easy ways to
healing.
heal.
Right.
Yeah, something like that Desperate Prayer plus Zyrella would have been a good turn combined here. But I mean, he can condemn for 3, and then he can heal face, and then use the Zyrella to finish off the 5/4. So that's an option here. And then, but then you have to be very aware of what output Corridon has in hand. You've seen both Fireballs, you've seen an Apexis Blast. At this point, you've seen both Mask of Cthulhu.
I must consider.
So there's only one Apexis left for direct burn. So if you're able to clear this board, you feel like you're in a really good spot.
Ysera's a pretty bold play, though, if that's the option here.
I mean, you're almost leaving lethal damage on the board, even if you wave behind it. It's still pretty dicey.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be the condemn heal. Oh, this is not the play that I would have gone with.
That might be okay. It does get in the way of Mask. He's worried about that. But let's see. Once again, kind of a tricky turn for Corridon. 5 cards left on his deck. He could just flaunt. I don't know if you want a cram session at this point.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
Yeah, there's nothing really you're trying to get. Those 5 cards most likely going to be the other Apexis Blast. You're probably looking at both Devolving Missiles and let me think what else would be there. Looking at his list. I don't remember off the top of my head. Brain Freeze.
Brain Freeze, Apexis. There's Devolving. Second Brain Freeze. So that second Devolving presumably is the remaining card in the deck.
Right. So it's not bad. You can now put this up with a Brain Freeze. You could have also played Lap Runner first just to get this completely out of the way. Also would have liked to have seen that Apexis Blast go face first just because you can get things like Mizaki, you can get things like Raz that kind of change the math on certain things you're doing. That's an interesting pickup there.
Yeah. Also could have guaranteed killed the Shikzara if had played the lab partner first, rather than having to use the second Brain Freeze. But maybe he wanted to do that just to clear up some hand space for the Font of Power, and of course the Sethek that is still alive.
Yeah, Font of Power also could have potentially represented lethal if it had pulled the other lab partner. I don't know if he would have had enough mana looking back at everything he did that turn. Most of the stuff that he did ended up being free, but could have been something else to consider. But at the moment, he has put Snakebots to 1. Interestingly enough, he doesn't have any more burn. The only thing he's got left is the hero power. So, the way this is going, unless Font of Power gives him something like the Ethereal Arcanist that can discover him a spell, Snakebots could be in a position to clear this board and then basically just stay alive. So
he's gonna dig with Insight first. Picks up Wandmaker. Is probably looking for Samuro if I had to guess.
Yeah, because of the size of his hand, he did not get Dream or the 5 mana. Sarah Awakens, excuse me. Sarah Awakens off of
Right.
Sarah, but Zyrella does clear the board at least. So now Snakebot has to find, or Corridon has to find 1 damage, and he's got Prime in the deck, so it does now limit Font of Power to a single minion.
I'm sure if he had top decked that Prime, we'd have been seeing it right here.
Right. So
Start with Devolving
first. I think you always want to start with Font.
Oh.
It's not the best, but you can silence it. you're always hero powering face because you're always trying to keep
Right.
priest at that
Have to.
point. So I think you also want to silence this 1/3. I think you also want to play. I mean, maybe at this point you save font just because you're going to get 3 minions off of it next turn. So it's probably better than trying to discover something this turn.
Yeah. I think at this point you're trying to
So I think
get as many options as possible in your hand. So Fawn of Power is now
do
Flame
not like
Strike.
flame strike. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
You need to play your Cold Conjure and your counterspell and your silence. That has to be the turn.
Yeah,
So,
Flame Strike. If you were gonna lead with that against the 4/4, I
Right.
mean that would have been better than using it at the tail end of that turn for sure.
yeah. Okay. I mean, it does kind of make it awkward for Snakepots a little bit. Once again, his only option for healing is the hero power, so this Slaying Prime could very well represent lethal damage with basically any burn. We'll see how much Snakepots is able to put in the way.
Is there trouble?
The only thing with playing this Larian is you're not going to be able to hero power, so you can give Snakepots that one last little chance to survive, but let's see. Well, basically, we'll see how this Solarian goes.
Safod's wondering here, maybe do I play the Apotheosis?
No, I don't think you can. I think you have to wait until you're actually able to attack with it.
Consider. Must choose quickly.
Out of cards.
Well, not much else to do here, and it becomes a question of what
Warriors of the
does he
frozen
want to
waste.
use? Does he want? Well, first, Fawn of Power. Oh, Jandis is a very good draw. Trick Totem, another random possibility to do some potential phase damage.
I think you're ripping Solarian here 100% of the time.
Yeah, it
and
has to be
just
Solarian on this.
looking
This
for
turn.
that finishing burn. And we'll see how this goes. He's really thinking about it. No, okay.
Still thinking about it.
You gotta do it. Here we go.
There it is. Mini Yogg. Brain Freeze. Oh! Not for
Could be
this
good.
turn, but unless he gets something like Innervate.
The Solarian spells do not target the untargetable minions. That is so obnoxious. I would have probably saved that because there's a chance that Snakepods would have thought, okay, this minion's frozen, I don't have to worry about it, and then you silence it the next turn to get lethal from
Right.
unexpected play. So, I mean, there's a good chance that he just would have killed it off anyway, just because. But, I mean, we're still in a kind of an awkward spot for Snakepods. He still can only heal up to 5, and now at least with the increased damage on the hero power, Corden does have him on at least something of a clock. Though any minion that sticks is able to. Oh wow, he's gonna raise dead. What is he looking for? This could potentially. Oh, I guess he's. Never mind.
Yeah,
No, he's gonna do it again.
oh, he's gonna do it again.
I was like, that's great. He's touching counterspell, but. Oh my goodness. So Hysteria here, just to get that.
Hysteria with Apotheosis,
Oh,
sure.
Hysteria with Apotheosis. Okay. And Nightmare,
Oh.
the whole 9 yards. Okay. So there's a 100% hits the
Yes,
prime. So.
it does, and excellently for Snakepods leaves the Laughing Sister alive. So yeah, it's a Jandis Barov turn now to see what do you get.
Oh wow.
Wind
That's
Fury.
huge. So it's not lethal, but he can hero power off the. Well, I guess he doesn't have to hero power the 7-2. It's just going to die on its own. So I think at this point you are hero powering face and
Yeah, 7 damage.
attacking face. Yeah, and then that's
Do you put a Trick Totem down, or do you use Power Word
No.
Feast at all?
maybe. No, you don't have to hit it. Oh no.
Oh no, you didn't have to.
I think Corey's just kind of. This is one of these games that like things kind of go awry at one point, and then everything just gets in your head about what you need to do, and you just forget those mechanics along the way. Like I think I go back to the turn where you fireball the 4/6 and ended up floating 2 mana that turn as being or one of those things that just kind of sticks in your head as being unfortunate, but this looks not terrible form at this
No,
point.
honestly, a second secret there too is now putting doubt into Snakepod's mind. We know it's Ice Barrier. He has to think it could be a counterspell, could mess
That's
with
all-
me again.
Right, open with like Dream just to get rid of it. I mean, that's fine. It's probably the least valuable target for Gordon to play again. Renew gets him up to a decent life total. Palm Reading could potentially find him something else to do here. Hysteria will kill off the 4/5 or potentially leave the 5/5 on the board, depending on how this goes. Although he could trade the 3/5 into the 2/1, which will finally proc Oasis out actually. So there's no guarantee that this board's clear, I don't think, unless he finds something else from Palmer. But these are not the best options because his moon cannot be targeted
Nothing,
with these
yeah,
buffs.
nothing targetable out there. I think he's gonna try. He's gonna find out.
So he's thinking the same thing. If he kills the 2/1, then he can guarantee the 4/5 dies. The 4/5 will die, but does not guarantee that anything else dies. So we'll see how this ends up going. Okay, so the 5/5 lives, and that's lethal because he has Power Beast. So Gordon manages to get there this game in a very wacky game,
Yeah.
even from Priest Mage standpoint.
I think if you were looking at Corridon having both the Enchantress flow off the rip, you would have expected this to be a game in which he rolled, and it did get there, but it was a lot harder to navigate than we expected it was going to be.
Yeah. No, the best part of this game, anyone watching this cast now watched yesterday, watched me just completely butcher 3 games on Mage, sitting here acting like I know what Corridon should be doing the whole time. Corridon's the one that got the win, so congrats to him on getting the Mage win. So, yeah.
So Corridon did get the win. That brings this series even to 1-1. It should also be noted that first game win for Snake Fods does lock up the week for the BankUV fan club. So this is still, very early in the season, still worth the points. Corridon looking to get off to a 2-0 start and gets there with Mage. So we're looking now with Rogue Warrior versus Demon Hunter Priest. No mirrors here.
Yeah, so this kind of becomes a little bit of a guessing game as to what you think your opponent's going to do. They're more likely to see if you can gain edge on the queue. But it looks like it maybe worked out for Gordon here, getting the Warrior matched up against the Demon Hunter, not the Priest, which should be in his favor here. I think Warrior right now is in a good spot against Demon Hunter generally, so that worked out for him.
So it looks like a Rush Warrior, but we see that ETC. That's not in a lot of lists that I run into now for Corridon. It does have that, little surprise burst, but it doesn't seem like it's as necessary as it did at the outset of this expansion.
Yeah, it's actually one way we're talking about Gordon not wanting to match his Warrior up against the Priest. Is one way that you can get through the Priest is having that extra damage. So. But this is kind of an awkward hand for Gordon. Getting athletic size is pretty nice here to hopefully find something you can do next turn. It's probably Kargath, just because it comes down the soonest. But Runthak is in your deck, so there's always a case.
Runthak is very enticing. I think it comes down to Bladefist versus Runthak. He goes with Kargath, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And Snake Fods appears to be playing a mid-range DH here. We saw the Inquisitor in the deck. We see the Warglaves. So this is definitely a mid-range DH.
Yeah. And so Gordon did not get the draw that he wanted, looking for something for 2 mana. But I don't mind Hero Power here. One of the few times that it's justifiable. One, because you don't have anything else to do. But your options for playing Conditioning at rank 1. That's only 2 minis in hand, feels terrible. And Stage Eye, Uncorrupted. You're not in a desperate strait now, so there's probably not a reason you want to play that.
Right.
The best options for Snake Eyes, probably the Outcast Give You Attack. Seems pretty good, because that probably synergizes the best with his deck of those choices. But off to a slow start as well. Wouldn't have minded seeing maybe the 2/3 come out, but this gives Gordon the initiative, being able to just play Kargath basically for free onto the board, nothing out there. So Snake Five is going to have to figure out how he wants to deal with this. He has the Chaos Strike in hand, along with Fury if he really wanted to kill this minion, but I think Hero Power Minifear is reasonable. You're gonna have a hard time sticking minions against Warrior anyway, so don't think you worry too much about what can be easily value traded into.
Now we do see that stage dive. It is corrupted. It will draw a Rokara, one of the
Wow,
better minions to
big
draw, and
pickup.
it
Holy
immediately gets
mackerel.
played.
Yeah, that was probably the best pickup the Coordinator could have gotten there because it cleans up E2-3 pretty easily and then also buffs that card gas. So now this is a really tough spot for the Demon Hunter to come back from with the tools that are in this mid-range deck. Just your best way of controlling the board and giving yourself some breathing room is by smacking minions with your face, but you're already facing down 10 damage on the board with nothing on your side. So this is a really rough spot. You could coin out the Warblades just to try to start to extend the tide a little bit. You have to kill Zerkara, so this makes sense, and it gives you at least the ability to kill Kargath next turn along with whatever the warrior plays. But man, you're taking a ton of damage here, and this deck does not have the healing that its a lifesteal counterpart does. So
Yeah, the Eldraki Warblades are in hand, and there is some buff to Snakefodd's hand as well with the Chaos. And there's actually Second Fury, so he does have like a desperation heal with the Eldraki Warblades, but
I think the biggest
throwing
card.
away. Yeah, its biggest part is mana restraint at this point, but he's just going to be dead before it really ever comes to pass.
He needs Relentless Pursuit off his Chaos Strike potentially would be the best thing for him to pick up now to allow him to clear most of this board without taking the damage back to try to claw back into it. So if that's a pickup, hey,
Wow,
there you go.
that is a call if I've ever seen one right there.
So I'm curious, like I feel like you just want to play this now, but maybe you're thinking because you have the Eldrachi that you kind of want to save it for that point, but I think you just have to use it now to save the damage. This is a lot of damage to take. Because the warrior does run weapons.
Is he going to use the Warblades after? Yeah.
Should have one more swing. Okay. So he gets a little bit of healing and leaves the warrior with 2/1 attack minions. So he does kind of claw back into it a little bit.
Yeah, it does maximize the healing for next turn with Double Fury and Relentless Pursuit. So, yeah. If he feels like at this point he needs to just be in a face race, that is one way to kind of even the score a little bit.
Yeah, and probably the most passive turn that Gordon could have gone for there with a full cost cutting class. He hovered over conditioning for a second. I wouldn't have minded playing conditioning into Bumper Car just to get a little more pressure on the board because now you.
Oh, and the Glavesmith is active too.
It's going to Demon Hunter a little bit of breathing room to find some healing with that Eldrachi equipped. So Snakefodd's has found his way back into this game after that pretty crazy start from Gordon. So getting some fortuitous draws, Relentless Pursuit now making a big difference. Some decision making there that has worked out pretty well for him. All considered, back up to 21 health.
Yeah, that was a 24 health swing on that one turn, with the one swing of the Warblades, and now Snakefodd's is now the aggressor in this matchup, and it looked like Corden was just going to run away with it.
So now Corden has an interesting choice here. He can opt to trade these bumper cars in first, then conditioning twice, and play out a whole bunch of stuff. Basically turn into Token Druid, which I kind of like. So let's see if he ends up going that route. He can play 3 5/5s.
Yeah, not bad.
Is pretty good, especially when you have the Troublemaker follow up. That Troublemaker's a 10/12, so you also got a Weapon Swing coming back.
Yeah,
so
weapon's active next turn.
A whole bunch of damage. So I like this this choice from Corden to maximize his board presence by utilizing double conditioning. So
Wand Maker to start. We'll see what Snakefodd's gets. It's an Illidari Studies. Nothing that you would pick up here would really be immediately impactful. Spectral Sight, I guess, if you want to keep drawing.
yeah, you're kind of in a. I mean, you've been in a bad spot most of this game. You turned it around with the big healing, but now seeing the double buffed minions on the board without having an answer to it. The axe is coming online next turn. Turn 8 is the Troublemaker turn for Warrior, so playing this fight, even though it doesn't necessarily stop the Warrior from doing what they want to do next turn, it may at least get in the way of those 3/3s coming out. So this plus the other Wand Maker, big play from Snakebot just to have something on the board anyway. But all it's going to take is one Troublemaker going face for that to be lethal. But then from Gordon's perspective, I guess you don't mind, because either your Troublemaker gives you lethal because one went face, or it kills both of the minions on the board. So I think Troublemaker is 100% the play here, because you either win the game
Right.
or you indeed the Demon Hunter's hand. The only problem is
It's actually
Demon
lethal
Hunter-
on the back end for
Yeah.
Snake Fods.
with the Relentless Pursuit and the Fury, yeah. So Troublemaker, there is an outcome where
Basically, the game
if these
ends here,
both
one way or the other.
minions, yeah. And I think this is still the right call from Gordon. You can't. I mean, Demon Hunters are notorious for having all that burst damage, but it's like, oh, you got it.
Waste no time. First one
First
goes right
one
to the face.
wins the debate. So well played by Gordon. Well played by Snakebots too, honestly.
Definitely.
Navigating his way back through that game, even having a chance to pick up the lethal if Troublemaker had been less of a Troublemaker for him, and just cleared the minions instead. But Gordon takes a 2-1 series lead.
Yeah, I would argue that that was more impressive on the end of Snake Fods to even just be in that game at that juncture, because it was so bad early that he really had to navigate, take a couple risks there, as we saw, as you mentioned with the Warglaves, just to even really get to that point in the game. So yeah, I'm actually more impressed with Snake Fods' play there. I know Corden got the win, not that Corden played badly, but Snake Fods navigated it to the best of his ability, just didn't quite have enough.
Yeah, this is always a tough matchup coming into it, and I think he did pretty well to give himself a chance to win there. So that leaves Corden with just the Rogue, right? Or did yeah, because he lost that first match against the Paladin. So it'll be Rogue matching up against a Demon Hunter and a Priest. I would probably expect Snakebots to bring that Priest, or excuse me, that Demon Hunter.
Yeah, I was gonna say Demon Hunter. The Priest doesn't do too hot against the Rogue.
Generally not, especially not the Secret Rogue that we saw from Corden.
Right.
So.
Well, here we go into potentially the match point here of Game 4. It will be the Priest.
Interesting.
Wisdom shall bring victory.
I make my own luck.
Snakebots committing to playing a different deck every single match, which if your Conquest is going well, then you do that by default. But if it's not, there is different lines of thought as to whether or not you keep trying to play the same deck, like certain people, or if you mix it up, just throw your opponent off, or maybe try something fresh, which is what Snakebots is doing. So the Priest choice is interesting. There was a period of time, kind of before Secret Rogue came onto the scene, where Priest was doing pretty well against Rogue. Rogue kind of came back with the Tenwu Alex combo, being able to mess with Priest towards the end of the game, but then Priest with Elucia can sometimes disrupt that as well. So it's kind of been a back and forth between Rogue and Priest as to what's favored. But I do think in this matchup, with the secret version that Corden's running, that he is going to be the favorite here, despite having somewhat of an awkward start with a couple combo pieces and no good ways to activate them, as well as the 2 Spark Joys with no secret in hand. So he's one secret away from a good time, but not there yet. From Snakebot's side, he plays a Wand Maker. It's pretty good.
Wand Maker giving focused will. Corden utilizing the Plunderer not to attack anything, but just to activate that Swindle, gives him a Wicked Stab and that Tenwu.
So a little bit of a brick from Corden so far.
Right.
There are times where playing the Prize Plunderer just to have it on the board makes a lot of sense. Against Priest is not that time. It's just, all it did is give you a couple cards to draw, but he's kind of in a tough spot compared to where Rogue wants to be.
I think he was probably looking for a secret there to make sure the Sparkjoy cheat could be active this turn. It's not. All it's doing here is giving the Wand Thief the activation, and now we see 3 secrets.
Which isn't terrible considering you have a Sparkjoy in hand, so it depends on which one he goes for. So he goes for the traditionally most anti-Priest secret in the Rich Bear game. So he is going to unbrick his hand one way or another, and Rick Fair Game's a good way of doing it. So
Well, Snakefods is going to go to build a hand here and make his own via the Sethic Veilweaver. Starts with the Holy Smite, and that's it. Doesn't want to use the second Smite.
So I think from Corden's perspective, the choice he's going to have is whether or not to Wicked Stab the Veilweaver. And I imagine that you do. It's just such a annoying minion for Priest to have. One way that Priest can win this game is just generating all that value off the Sethic, and it makes sense that Corden would go ahead and Wicked Stab that. But similar
Raise
to what we
Dead is
said
a
with
card,
the
though.
and similar to what we said with the Mage Priest matchup, when the Priest is seeing burn go into its minions instead of its face, it's usually pretty happy. But yeah, Raise Dead is definitely a nice way to bring that back.
Yeah, right now it's a 100% guaranteed pool because Veilweaver and Wandmaker are the only cards that have died. So I guess the question is, do you want to wait and maybe get Samuro into the mix there, because that's a pretty high value pull from.
Yeah, I don't even think the Wandmakers died. This was the first one played. It was buffed.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, the
there.
Wandmaker's sitting on the board in front of me right now, and I'm just completely whiffing it.
No, that's okay. I mean, it's possible you could have played multiple Wandmakers somehow, but not yet to this point. So he's testing all the secrets, and he's going to prevent this Rick Fair Game from proccing at least this turn with that attack. So yeah, this is going pretty well for the Priest so far. I have to like your position at this point in the game.
Shenanigans. We saw it before. It's back again, but this is a secret passage turn, and there it goes. Mankrik.
Just get that pick up here. And Octobot, I think those are your plays, 100%. That worked out pretty well.
Yep, good use of the mana. Gets the Angry Mankrik in the deck.
And that Octobot, if it's activated, which at the moment, Snakepods could take a line to clear it without
double
activating.
Alexstrasza.
Yeah, it's it would hit Tenmu and Alexstrasza for Corden, so that would be a very premium Octobot discount for Snakepods to avoid. But with only 5 cards in hand, you've seen your opponent kind of brick a little bit. You might not be inclined to take that approach, especially because it would require you using the Apotheosis and not getting healing from it. So we'll see what Snakepods ends up valuing, if he wants to save that Apotheosis for healing later, or if he wants to prevent that Octobot from giving a discount now. And maybe this to be determined as to whether or not Snakepods is running a Lucia, because if Snakepods has a Lucia, he's probably not as concerned about discounts being in Corden's side, because if he finds his Lucia in time, he can just use those discounts for himself. But looks like he's going with the Condemn route. Try to clean up the board as best he can, and go ahead and allow the discounts. But this is also going to allow the Fair Game to proc for Corden.
Yeah, Corden's got to be excited about the end game possibilities now. Double draw of the Swindle, Ambush, Prize Plunder, and Wand Thief there. So there's a lot of options now, a lot of secrets. It's an overabundance of secrets, perhaps.
Now, this would be pretty great if you could find Hanar as well. That is definitely a disruptor for the Rogue in this matchup.
Oh, and the
We like Fireball. Did not hesitate on that. I think his other options, Steep Freeze and Encounter Flow. Encounter Flow you can maybe sometimes make a case for, but with only one Wicked Stab left.
Oh, there's so many options.
Picking up a lot of damage here. So this will be interesting for Corden. Now you're at the point where you start to figure out how you can kill a Priest in 2 turns without them being able to heal too much, which is kind of tricky. Based on his experience in the Mage game, there are times where the Priest just didn't have the healing that he needed to get back out of range, but we'll see how he's able to navigate this one.
Mage Scribe came down after being drawn by the Draconic Studies earlier, not drawn, but generated by the Draconic Studies. Activate this Insight.
Triggers the Ambush, which is quite unfortunate for Snakepods, but I don't know if you're really going to be able to avoid that. Yeah, it's just an unfortunate secret for him to run into. I still think that's probably his best play. There wasn't really a good way for him to get around it. A second Octobot with all this damage in hand. So that Octobot will end up resulting in, if it's activated, a 7-mana Alexstrasza, a 3-mana Fireball, and a free Tenmu. So very, very close to being able to just dump all of that in a single turn. If he's able to find maybe a Conjure
Spell
Mask
damage
Mana
plus
Biscuit.
2.
Eh. Did he go for that one? No,
He
he
did
went
not.
for the Stealth plus 2. So he is banking on his board living, which is pretty fair, except for the whole
Right.
Samuro Apotheosis thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the power of the stealth spell damage golem firsthand, and it is a thing of beauty when it works well. And I kind of surprised. I mean, I guess not surprised with the board context the way it is for Corden, though he has been holding on to that Samuro. It's a card that's been in his hand the entire game, and it was kept in the mulligan. So you have to assume, if you are Corden, that he's holding a very high value card, a very high value, in this case, combo card, to pair up with an Apotheosis. So about to get some bad news.
Yep.
Oh no, he's not going to do it this turn.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Very dangerous.
So he's just playing out the value plan. How close are we to just straight up lethal here?
Well, with clearing off at least one of the minions, if not two, we're going to be looking at the Thought Shield going on the minion instead of going to face. Alright, with the Devouring Plague, it's a little bit less dangerous. Fewer targets for that +2/+2 to hit. You get discount. And there's the Hanar that we were talking about earlier. At this point, Shenanigans is the only secret in hand, so that would start the turn, if that's the route that Corden would like to go.
And the other thing too, you want to try to figure out how to deal with these two suffixes. I don't mind bouncing one, 2/3, and then potentially trading into the other, because you can buff your stunner. You can potentially also buff your Hanar, and just put like a lot of stats on the board and generate
Right.
some secrets also. You have 3 mana left to figure out some secrets. You could potentially get Omar Yag. You could potentially get even a counter spell. Like there's some good options there. So
The question I
sure,
think becomes, does Corden know that Samuro is in hand? If it wasn't played last turn, it looks like he is going to go with the Alexstrasza this turn.
that is a very aggressive line. I don't mind it too much. I guess he's gonna bounce back the Alex.
Nope, going to
or
bounce
to
back
save
the
the
10.
Tengu and throw the Wiki Sap this turn when it's only 4 instead of saving it for 6. No,
Nope,
okay,
he held it
so
back, or the time ran out, either
time
or.
went out. Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be a big Samuro here. We have another buff for it. Oh, not quite.
Might be looking for it, didn't get there. Bamboozle. Works out okay. And the Shadow or Death will mop up the rest of this board. So another great turn there by Snake Fods. Heals a ton. Back into a safe territory after that big turn from Corden. And now you gotta think, what does Corden have left to do here? I mean, Shadow Jeweler Hanar is probably your best bet to try and create some havoc.
Right. If you are out of wicked stabs, your Alex is dead. You still got
one
Tengu.
wicked stab. There's still Angry Mankrik in the deck as well.
Right. So with the secret plan, see how this goes. Yeah, it's gonna be tricky. Priest has a lot of value left and is now in a pretty safe place from a burst perspective. So Rogue can try to find some value of his own, but he's 8 cards down in fatigue, in case that becomes relevant. You still got your Golem, but the Golem that he picked is one that kind of plays into Priest's strengths of being able to clear the board pretty consistently. So yeah, definitely a rough spot now for Corden on this road.
Yeah, Corden, the Soul Mirror gets burned. Not as crucial at this point, though. That could have been a counter to a Golem board sticking. I think At this point, is Corden maybe looking for like a Golem plus Jandis turn?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's his best path to victory, especially with that Soul Mirror gone. So
Ooh, Oh My Yogg hits the undivine shielded Sethic. And now we just test all the secrets at this point.
the other stuff is going to die to the freezing trap because his hand is full. And a 2-1 is triggered and will survive. Just chill.
A little extra healing. Hanar will fall to this Holy Nova.
Sacrifice is no longer going to survive.
No. And a Psyche split as well, just to continue to leave the sticky stuff on board and the healing on board for Snake Fods.
So that's going to give Corden a few cards here. What if he gets a smite? What is
He's
he
gonna
going to
burn? No, he's not gonna burn.
Yeah, so he does get the smite. Interesting. So the interaction between Oh My Yogg and Plagiarize is you get the card that Oh My Yogg turned it into, not the card that was originally cast. So,
I'm learning something new.
mm-hmm.
But at this point, these 4/7s don't look like they're going away anytime soon. There's really no good way to get rid of them. There's no way for Corden to outpace them in terms of damage to their healing. There is one Blackjack Stunner in the deck, so you
I was gonna
could,
say
yeah.
you could go for that. I like this. I was gonna say you could copy one. It ultimately is able to kill the other, particularly with the Golem buff. So that is one option. It does leave a slightly larger minion. Okay, so he's going to end up
Use the Holy
using
Smite.
this smite
Yep.
here. Yeah, that's pretty fair. That way you can trade clearly into the other one, especially knowing the Soul Mirror's gone. This 5/5 is in a pretty safe spot for what it's worth. So
Well, the Soul Mirror that's in the deck is gone, and we just saw
sure.
the Veil Weaver generate several cards. There are 4 of them still in hand, so Caster Vision shows us that Snake Fods does not have it. However, it is definitely a possibility in Corden's mind, I would imagine. Though Shadowwood Ruin is a great answer to this deck that Corden, or this board that Corden just built. And Psyche Split was so good last turn that Snake Fods will just do it again.
I think we are in a counting down the turns until Corden concedes.
Yeah, a bit of a death
Unfortunately, I don't
spiral
know if
here.
he's gonna be able to find the damage. Olgra from the Secret Passage is always worse. So, okay, so here's one path to victory is potentially Jandis, Shadow Step, for future Jandis, and these are decent minions. Generally, it's a pretty good Jandis. Just in a rough spot overall. And I like the Bamboozle onto the minion that otherwise would have just died right away. So, nice little bit of synergy there.
And Corden apparently gets to just pick Inara whenever he would like.
I like Inara. Inara's a good card. We would probably all be very sick of it if Shaman was good, but because it's not, we can all say how good Inara is and how much we like it. And there is the Elucia that I referred to earlier as far as Snakebot's taking a line that he didn't care so much about the discounts. So he is, in fact, running Elucia. So. And Snakebot is deciding to take Bamboozle out of the equation, at least initially, by playing the Condemn. He could even opt to Shadow Form and ping down the 4/2 and just laugh in the face of any Bamboozles from Corden, considering how much healing he has on the board.
Right.
The more healing he has in hand, at this point, he can just beat down this rogue at his own pace. So, you know, the Shadow Form play is not too bad.
No, I like that quite a bit. I mean, you can even heal first if you'd like.
Quickly.
So he's going to make the trade. Maybe he thinks that Shadow Form, while a Q play, is not necessarily what he needs to win this game. So to make sure he stays out of any potential first the rogue could conjure up with one Thieves or other things, considering he's still holding a Mage card from a long time ago.
Playing a 10/10 Zyrella is not bad either. We do see Angry Mankrik show up to avenge his wife, but that's just a small dent in Snake Fozz's immense life total at this point.
The awkward thing too is that Gordon has a decent answer to a 10-10 by bouncing it back. Problem is, oh, hello,
Rustwix.
hello.
Okay.
That's interesting. So Jandis offering some interesting choices here. So now I think, yeah, you're still going to bounce back this 10-10, even though there's a pretty clear way for Snake Odds to answer. Though granted, if you give Snake Odds back to 30 to life, he can't actually heal himself to activate the Zorella. So playing the stunner on the 10-10 is probably still the best thing he can do.
Choose soon.
Because I mean, it's a good minion for Snake Eyes to have back. Like that's not the battle cry is really impactful. But if he's at full health, then it doesn't activate right away. So we'll see how this ends up playing out.
And he opts to go the sneaker route here, just to again, make Snake Fodds try and make a mistake. We've seen Snake Fodds navigate the secrets very well in the multiple games. That secrets have appeared. So nothing to say that Snake Fodds won't be able to do the same here.
He's gonna play Ysera to dream back the Rustwix to not have to deal with it. I mean, it'll just come right back down, but that's pretty funny if that's the line he ends up taking. I mean, it sets up for a pretty clean Zorella. You can Zorella now, clear the board. Well, I guess you want to maybe also kill this 310. So maybe do go ahead and make this other trade. No, it's tough call. I think I probably just want to clear the board. I don't think I'm worried too much about 5 extra face damage. I think I'd rather kill the 310. Just to not to worry about it. I guess you can this way also. But you're taking a little extra damage on your Samura if you do it this way. I think it's probably fine. I think we're kind of splitting hairs on the sequencing for Snake Bots here. I think it's either way, he's in a very dominant position and pretty happy about his choices at this point.
And after our brief excitement for Corridon's possible comeback here, are we back to the when does Corridon concede? Because
not necessarily.
I mean, Jandis Sparrow again. Ooh, Mizaki.
Hello. Hello.
Now we're talking.
My goodness. Okay, so you can Wicked Stab the 5/6, and then Holy Nova clears the board because you can also trade into the 4/4. So all of a sudden, Gordon has found a way to deal with the 2 Samuros and the Zorella. Oh, you do it in the other order. Yeah, I know you want to save your stab for face damage, but clearing this board is like of monumental importance, especially with the 3 primes.
You're never going to outpace this healing. Never going to.
Yeah. I understand he takes this line and he's going to leave minions alive. If he ends up, yeah, so he does this in the, if he had done it in the other order, he could have also killed this Zorella, which could be relevant because there's a good chance that Mizaki would not have died. Granted, we do see the draw of the Hysteria, which would have not quite
it would have left.
Yeah, at 1 HP. But yeah, leaving that 4/2 up definitely makes this a little bit easier for Snake to figure out how to deal with Mizaki, which otherwise could have been pretty consequential. So owner Snake Odds has now the read that this is explosive trap. Wow, Gordon gives up.
Never mind.
Interesting. I wonder if he just realized his mistake on the Holy Nova versus backstab, and was just very frustrated because he had 3 primes in the deck, and you never know. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff you can get off that.
Yeah, like I think you play it out.
Well, for sure. For example, like Counterfed Prime would give you Rustwix back, and then you just keep shuffling primes. Like there's a lot of possibilities there with those primes that really could have won that game for the road. So, disappointing to see that. I certainly understand feeling like he made a mistake and wanting to get out of that game, just feeling like the oppression that is priest sometimes, but you never know with the primes. You never know what's in the box. So, but here we are, game 5. You gotta put that one behind you. And for Snake Odds, you're back on this Demon Hunter. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, Snakefods has a lot of early options here, a lot of curve that he can work with here in the first few turns. This Battle Fiend will come down, and right now Corden doesn't have any answers to it. Clunky hand with the double Shadow Step, and does have a Blackjack Stunner, but can't do anything with it this turn.
This is where you dagger and poke the 1/2, get poked back for 2, and then you poke it again for 2. And
It's a lot of
it
damage
hurts.
early for a class that doesn't heal.
Exactly, it hurts, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Now, there's a chance that this 1/1's still a 1/1 because Snakebots could opt to just Wand Maker and that's it, which is pretty reasonable. So say the opts to do anything else now. I don't think you point your power even for that extra 1 damage. And once again, Corden in that awkward spot where he has the combo pieces but no activator. This might end up being a stunner into a Swindle turn. Unless he thinks he needs to want thief, but I like Swindle here. I think this is fine. The Blackjack Stunner is not at its best in this particular matchup. There's not
I was just
too
gonna
many-
say there's not a whole lot of stuff that he's probably interested in sending back to hand, so it's definitely a better option to use for Swindle than Wand Thief.
Right, and it's gonna save you at least 2 damage now. Here, getting most likely traded off either by the Chaos Strike or the Wand Maker, and then you're in a decent spot to go ahead and jump into your Kazakus, into 5-man Golem, into Janus. You have 2 Shadow Steps for whichever of those minions you feel is the most valuable, which is a pretty decent spot to be for the Rogue to kind of catch back up in this game, although you're not too far behind yet. So, but that sequence for Rogue is looking pretty good. And then for Snakepods, he opts to take the Bladesmith once again. Activate it right away. Seems like a pretty good way to round back a turn. Maybe send that damage face and trade off the Wand Maker into the 1/2. It's just gonna go face. So not afraid of this 1/2 at all, which pretty reasonable. Rogue doesn't have healing,
Yeah.
so just want to kill him.
I mean, not only that, if Corden wants to Shadow Step the 1/2, if he does manage to get a secret, Snakefods is fine with either of these going
Both
back
of
to
these
hand.
minions. Right. So for Corden, I think you just kind of have to commit to Kazakus at this point. There are some good options for 5 mana. You can get Lifesteal, deal 3. You can get Rush. But it looks like he's going for a more immediate sort of triage on the board. Fireball's usually a good pick, but Snap Freeze has some merit given the amount of damage you're facing down. Using a Shadow Step right away, maybe looking for a Brain Freeze. 100 Mana Biscuit is really good. No, he's going for the Evocation.
Evocation.
So, yeah. No, I think that's fine. Biscuit is probably maybe not something that comes into play in this matchup, but sometimes for the Rogue, if you're able to set up that Biscuit ahead of time, it gives you a whole lot more burst out of the Alex Team combo.
Yeah,
but
that would have
not
been
relevant.
something in like the pre-game last time
Right.
to combo with the fortuitous draw of the Tenwu and the Alex Straza. But we're gonna see
Exactly.
the Kazakus come down here for Snakefods. Let's see, damage to random minions would be useful, somewhat useful now, but give your other minions +2/+2, probably a better choice.
Yeah, I mean, you take the chance that Rogue's left your minions up. You got stealth on it, which is pretty nice. But being able to kill the Rogue minions is always feels pretty good. So now Corden has the opportunity, if he wants to play Kazakus for a 1 mana, he's able to get the buff to minions. He can play that twice to buff these up to value trade into the 3/3 and 2/2. We'll see if he goes that route.
I'm looking for a few good
He's going to play the Kazakus. It's going to be, well, we don't
It's,
know which kind.
actually
Yeah,
lifesteal.
it is a 1 mana.
Yeah, deal 3 to a random enemy minion. See what he took with that. So rush and deal 3. Interesting, you took that
Yes.
over lifesteal. I suppose a 1/1 lifesteal is not super great, but this isn't terrible. And you do get to share your Shadow Step now for Janus, so it works out okay for Corden here. Maybe not the premier option he was looking for, but this is pretty good nonetheless. So.
And
And I
Snakefods
think
has assembled quite a few cards for weapon damage, as we see the Deadeye go into hand here. So he can start burning through some of that right side of his hand if he wants to get that skull activated. But nope, he's going to go ahead and golem right here, clear the board, and put down another threat.
Yeah, I think I like that. I think you kind of come into this part of the game in a pretty good position. I think getting, especially because this golem has stealth, it clearing the board is pretty nice. Recording getting a taunt off of this also is pretty nice. And Shadow Step into Jandis is a great way to kind of take control back of this game. So, see, Snake Flies is able to find the Warglaives again, the way he did in the last Demon Hunter game we played, which would be pretty nice here, but not yet. He does have the Warblades, so he's still in a pretty decent spot from a weapon standpoint, but his 4/4 is definitely in the way. That is my excellent caster observation of the night.
Could
I don't know where I was
utilize
going with that.
could utilize the 5/5 to take out the 4/4, and then you Relentless Pursuit. That way, you don't really care whether or not one's an illusion, which we do see the 6/4 is the illusion, of course. But I'm sure he's thinking, I would love to combo this with the Warblades if I could. I just don't know if that's entirely necessary here. But he looks like he's gonna play the Warblades.
Yeah.
Could go Warblades and Chaos Strike, and then use the 5/5 on the 4/4. That way everything lives, and you minimize the impact.
Right, save that Relentless Pursuit for a little bit later on.
And there is the big green rag.
A blunder.
Oh. Did he mean
So it looks
to go in the other order, or is maybe he just wants to get the damage in?
I think that's. I'm not sure.
I think because of the emote, it made me feel like he wanted to use the 5/5 on the taunt instead. But
Right.
but yeah, I don't hate the result.
Definitely kind of worked out in a weird way. Leaving it with the 6/4 is probably not what he wanted to do. Because now I think from Gordon's perspective, it's just an easy trade. So I think the way that sequenced, I think he was correct ultimately to send that 5/5 face and make Gordon make this trade anyway. I think the risk that could have been punished is if Gordon had a way to kill that 5/5 without making that trade. But fortunately for Snake Odds, not the case. So.
And does Snake Fods just play the 8/8 here, the Inquisitor, and
Yes.
just send it to face? He will.
He does. Right, because it trades off probably the 5/6,
Right.
and then also gets to hit. Oh, interesting. No, I think it's still at the 5/6. I think you want to take the biggest minion off the board. if you
Yeah,
can.
because I mean the 8/8's not living through the next turn anyway, so you might as well get the most out of your most value for your buck there. But no, he opts to go ahead and trade with the Mancrick instead. Back to full health, however, in pretty good shape, as Corridon is on death's door with only 5 health himself. And
Yeah, the problem for Corden, he's not dead to the other Inquisitor next turn. Well, he is dead to Relentless Pursuit, which he doesn't know, but from
dead to
Corden's
Relentless,
perspective,
So
he thinks he might be alive. Potentially draws a barrier, no barrier.
Yeah, it was either that or maybe is there a taunt mage minion? I don't think so.
No, nope, I don't believe so. So I'm gonna bait the secret,
Gonna bait
which probably the best you can do. And then swindle into prize plunder to at least kill this Inquisitor off. How interesting, he's gonna make that trade. So he could have played 1, 2, 3 cards. So he could have done that and traded off the Jandis and kept his 5/6 alive. But yeah, based on what we can see, I don't think there's any reason for Snake Odds not to just go ahead and throw this face. I think he wants to try to test for counterspell first, just to make sure that that's not the case. So this works out pretty well. And even if it's Ice Barrier, he still has lethal coming back the next turn with the Inquisitors. So that's it. Snake Eyes is going to take game number 5. And
wait a second.
oh, he didn't.
Wait a second. I mean, it's unlikely, but it's not over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's over, unfortunately. unfortunately, for
Yeah.
Gordon's draw there. There was nothing off the top
No.
that was likely going to save him, and Wicked Stab is not it. So
So many.
Jumping the gun slightly on the call. Did not expect
not
the.
official. It was yeah. We just had to wait.
That's
We just
okay.
have to wait for the final either
Right.
concede or damage to get sunk in here. But yeah, Gordon is unfortunately out of options.
So many.
Gordon may
options.
find lethal himself with a couple different options: fireballing his own face, equipping the dagger, and picking one of these two minions to run into. Different options for Gordon here to throw out this series, but doesn't feel great. Feel like he had some good opportunities in some of these games, and then just couldn't quite piece it together in either of these two road games. Unfortunately, actually, he won 0-3 on the road with that loss to the Paladin at the beginning, so kind of let him down a little bit in the series. But well played by Snakepots to get that victory. Another victory for Banky's fan club to keep rolling this week. Gordon did pick up 2 points for Standard THL Degenerates, but congrats to officially sealing the week for Banky's fan club for Snakepots getting this one.
Absolutely. Yeah, as we talked about, Gordon trying to keep his early undefeated season alive did not pan out there for him and STD. So that is going to be a very, very strong. Well, week 3, it's the second match of the season here for Bank Yugi Fan Club, but they are looking very, very good after that first week loss. So congrats there. We are well past when we would normally start our second match here, so we'll be skipping our winner's interview, unfortunately, and moving into match 2. So let's go ahead and get that set up real quick, because although...
So we will be doing a hero match here between No Pros here and Wherever I May Roam. Dande, unfortunately for you, your team is down and out for the week, but
This
you
is
can still
true.
get some points. So Cole's coming in with the Druid, Mage, Rogue, Warrior, subbing in for our beloved Ron Mexico, who had a multi-win showing in Masters Tour Orgrimmar.
Yeah.
So congratulations to him, doing some work in the Big Boy League. You can actually say relevant to the Masters Tour.
Really.
So Coles is stepping in against Agent PWE with Druid, Mage, Priest, Rogue. So the only difference between the two lineups here, Agent PWE has that Priest, and Coles has a Warrior. So imagine you already know the bans for one of the players.
Yeah.
But I were to be guessing here, I think Agent PWE bans Coles Rogue. I think Coles probably bans PWE Druid. Just throwing a curveball out there. I'm not 100% sure on what Coles would be wanting to ban there. But Druid seems like a pretty reasonable ban.
Yeah, well, I'll wait for the official responses to roll in here as I'm resetting everything over, so you can see what matches are matches up on the screen here. This is another side plot here. Agent PWE did not mention which opponent he was playing that wanted to play on stream, and of course now we get to have my caster curse on my team yet again, 2 weeks in a row. So
you never know. You never know.
yeah, kind
Let's
of.
have some faith, Dande, in your teammate Coles.
Oh, I do. I have faith in Coles.
Do you have faith in Coles? It doesn't sound like you have faith in Coles.
It's me that I don't have the faith in as a caster. I am the curse.
I gotcha. All right. So we see them hanging out in the main menu. Does that mean they have challenged already, or are they about to get into challenge screen? Hey, look at that! They are preparing to battle a friend.
There we are.
Outstanding. So yeah, so we are playing in the Hero series now. So whereas in Legacy, once you win with the deck, you are done with that deck. In Heroes, the other way around. Once you lose with the deck, you are done with that deck. And your goal is to make your opponent lose 3 times with 3 different decks. So we'll see how these players approach it. The queue order absolutely matters. One, trying to get that first match in your favor to give yourself an advantage in the series overall, but 2, also making the correct read on what decks to bring in order to have the proper counters should you happen to lose a match along the way. So should be a good match. We like Hero I think Donna, you and I both big fans of the hero format, so
Absolutely.
always fun to cast that format also.
Yeah, we talked about it before. I like the flexibility of the lineups a little bit more in Hero and Last Hero Standing than in Conquest, where a lot of the time, especially with the closed list format, you are going with what has the most flexibility. Where in Last Hero Standing, you can definitely do more targeted strategies, and queue order is so very important, as you mentioned. One of the things that I actually mentioned 2 weeks ago on Saloon, the time that I won Saloon and not lost it to Corridon, was that I felt like this season in Hero is going to be so polarized. There's going to be a lot of sweeps, so we're going to see a lot of a lot of sweeps, wins and losses, of course, for everybody, myself included. I have swept or been swept every week so far, so
Oh wow,
that's it's just the way it's
you're
gone.
living up to your own prophecy there,
Yeah,
Dante. That's
I
funny.
mean, I had control over two of them. The ones that I lost, I could just like tank it and just be like, I'm going to prove myself right. The win, I actually had to work for.
There you go. Oh, that's funny.
Let's see where they are in the ban process. Still preparing.
Okay, so just a quick note on the hero standing so far. NoPro's hero is already the points leader after 2 weeks, and this week is not going to change that from what we can tell. The teams closest to them can't quite catch them, even if they were to win their remaining matches. So, yeah, so NoPro's here off to a great start this hero season, and for wherever I may roam, not
Yeah,
exactly where you want to be,
we're,
but there's
we're
still a lot of
roaming in
season
the
left.
wrong region of the bracket here.
Yeah, it's okay. There's a long way to go. So maybe you'll start getting the sweeps going your way. Some other scores, just looking around Hero, BLAST took out Dabs on him 15-13. We only have one result from the 13-37 squad versus Bodism Confidence right now. The 13-37 squad has a 4-1 lead. Infernal THL has a 10-6 lead over Tampam Surfslam with 2 matches left to go. And AskHS has beaten F2L Black 18-6. And lastly, Dad Legend versus Murloc and Load is 10-8 in favor of Dad Legend with 1 match left to go. That is my match tomorrow afternoon against No Way, with everything on the line. So no pressure whatsoever. Should be a good match, but maybe I can finally get a hero one myself. If not, then everyone's going to yell at me, and I've been told that if I lose, there will not be a Starlights dancing video this week. So
Ah,
just adding to the pressure that I was already facing. So
so
great.
no, the bans are in, and
Okay.
no matter what you guessed, you were going to be incorrect.
Oh, great.
Cole's somehow banned Warrior, which
Okay.
is not a class that PWE has.
Correct.
We didn't discuss this.
Okay.
So
Thought you would have had some inside info, but apparently
yeah,
you
I mean,
were outside altogether.
I've been gone all day. I don't know what changed. So okay, so Cole's is not playing Druid because that's not allowed via the ban that actually went through as intended for PWE. So already a W on PWE side for banning appropriately. And this is the caster curse of my teams just rearing its head in other ways than what we would normally expect.
So for those unaware, at least in the hero side, if you mess up your ban, PWE now basically can choose between all 4 of his decks.
Correct.
And he still only has to eliminate 3 of Cole's decks, but he has the entire suite of options available to him in order to make that happen. So if he
Right.
determines that, for example, his priest is not in a favorable position in any of these matchups, he just doesn't have to play it. And he would have to get the win with the other decks. So that being said, I think it's still 3 wins for Coles, and he's good. So one of those decks might
Yes.
just not get played.
Yeah,
So
he does not have
basically,
to eliminate all 4.
right.
And we are starting here. It's going to be the Warrior for Coles, who's on the bottom of your screen, versus the Mage for PWE on the top of the screen.
So this is a pretty good match to start the Hero series. Mage and Warrior can be pretty even. The games themselves don't always seem that way because one side or the other tends to get a pretty good advantage. Either the Mage with just controlling the board, getting all the burn they need. The Rush Warrior, assuming it's Rush Warrior, doesn't always get the healing that we're used to. Um, and it does the Rush Warrior. So the mage
Yes,
does have the burn
definitely
plan.
Rush Warrior.
From the opposite side, the warrior has the ability to just tempo out the mage and kind of force the mage to use burn on minions instead of base, and then set up the troublemaker into Alex turns 8 and 9, which can often be enough to close out the game. But CPWE starting the way that mages should with Encounter's Flow.
Sorry, we were briefly missing PWE's cards because I'd clicked the button about 3 or 4 times and had assumed incorrectly that it had by now shown those cards. And it had not, but now everything is visible for both sides of the table.
For Cole's an unanswered Parade Leader is a great way to start this matchup, especially followed up by a bumper car, which gets buffed, and then Stage Dive getting another bumper car.
Did he
Feels
not
pretty good.
attack?
He did.
Oh, he did attack. I was wondering
Yes.
why he emoted "This is most unusual."
I don't know. Just because. He's
Just-
just he's communicating with you that day.
Sure.
He's decided that
With me, yes.
yes, he's emoting at you because he knows you're watching. So
Oh, I'm
he's
intently
gonna keep you
watching.
guessing.
And a good
Ah.
Apexis Blast there gets rid of the Parade Leader and generates a 5/5 for Agent PWE, but Sword Eater can come down here.
Yeah. So at least, oh, interesting. This is pointing face. I was gonna say, at least from a PWE's perspective, you kind of stop the damage from the Warrior side. But the Warriors decided, no, you are not stopping my damage. I am going all face all the time. I think that's partly due to looking at Cole's hand, the fact that he has a Troublemaker in hand already, as well as Watley to draw Alex, most likely.
Right.
Puts him on the aggressive plan, which yeah, I don't mind from his perspective.
Yeah, I think it's again you're playing against a class in Mage that doesn't have a ton of options to heal. Ice Barrier would be that way. It's not normally hard run in the decks unless it randomly shows up via Ring Toss or another way. You're probably most of the damage you do is permanent. So I do like the route that Coles is taking here, and maybe he's just a little tired. They waited a little extra time, and he's just like, I'm going face all night. I'm making this series last as little time as possible compared to the first one.
Yeah, and I think it's a pretty good minions for PWE off the I think on a power. I should know my mage cards. Getting Uraz and Prison Phoenix is a nice little combo. But Coles decides to make the trade now, play conditioning, and play a whole bunch of minions. Interesting that he chose to make that play holding Watley instead of playing Watley first to draw a whole bunch more minions that could potentially get buffed. But this does represent a good amount of pressure from the Warriors' perspective that PWE is going to have to find an answer for very quickly. And having that Glacier Racer with the Brain Freeze is not a bad way of doing it. Being able to potentially kill off that 5/6 altogether with that particular combo.
Yeah, interesting. You mentioned the Watley as a possibility this turn, and I think I might have preferred that, but yeah, I can see the merit to this route as well.
It's more immediate tempo and trading off a little bit of value later on. But I think the value that you would gain from playing Watley in a position where you're very free to do so is just really strong. This is a lot of tempo though, so we see that PWE does have a reasonable answer to it if he wants to, but he looks like he's not even going to bother with the Glacier Racer. He's just going to set up that Phoenix instead, and then worry about this bumper car at a later point in time. So PWE kind of mixing and matching his options there to set up himself for the future, while also clearing off and stopping the damage.
And a chunky 5/7 Watley comes down, pulls Alex Straza and a Sword Eater. Both bumper cars have already been played, so that would be the mechs in this deck. And Athletic Studies as well. Broomstick's an interesting choice. Bumper car, obviously hard run in the deck as well. I don't think Vile Fiend is very useful at this stage of the game.
No. I'm curious that he opted to go with the studies over playing the other Gennard, because I guess because he has the Sword Eater that he's going to want to play, the Gennard is not that useful. So being able to get a studies, make some decisions for later, and also play SW3 down on the board right now, again, just kind of follows the approach that Cole has taken from the beginning of this game to be as aggressive as possible.
And the second Brain Freeze off the top here will be used to clear out this this big bumper car, just leaving the 3/3 rush. Wormhole Challenger the draw here for Coles, and now a lot of little pieces Gonna start by going face with the weapon and re-equip with the Sword Eater.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And probably playing like an arc now. Along with potentially hero power. I mean, there's, depending on whether he's running ETC or not, could dictate whether he plays out these rushers now, because you certainly don't anticipate Raz. You do have to anticipate a Flame Strike going into turn 7 if you extend it too wide on the board. You're already at a point where it might be relevant, but you don't want to make it that much worse for yourself by playing out a couple of 1-1s that could have better value later on.
One thing the Gnarg does too is allow for positioning around second combustion.
Yes.
And there's that second combustion.
He finds right on cue. So I imagine we probably see the Ross here anyway. I guess combustion is a possibility, but Ross just seems pretty good to kill off the 3-3, set that down to a 2-2. You could potentially follow up the Glacier Racer just to have it on the board. Since you've already used both Brain Freezes, you're unlikely to find additional ways to freeze. It's possible, but you're not going to be looking for them actively. So just depends on how much PW wants to get rid of Amir. The other problem that you're running into is your life total. Because of the way the Coles has played this game, playing Raz and leaving at least 5 damage coming back, plus a very likely Troublemaker coming back. Developing missiles makes sense to try to get this into the range where Raz just clears it, and he does. So this works out pretty well for PW to stop a decent amount of damage at least.
And now, the obvious choice here would have been Troublemaker this turn, but it's not quite as obvious as it once was.
I don't know that you have a better option. The rest of your hand is just not good here. Like, I think Troublemaker,
Yeah.
while it's not as clean as it potentially could be, I think you just have to do it. And I think you also swing into the 2-3.
I agree
You make
completely.
sure that
Yeah, you swing into the 2-3, and if both of these go face, then you're in business next turn anyway, because you can Alex Drowser
Yep.
plus swing your weapon.
Right.
But let's see where they go. 1 to face, and 1 into Raz. Okay. So not entirely, but I mean, the 8-10 still is going to require resources to get rid of.
And you just saw one devolving missile, which is one of the better ways that Mage has of
Right.
dealing with it. So now looking at PW's hand, Combustion doesn't do anything. Flame Strike doesn't do anything. You could, I guess, Fireball and Combustion into this 8-10, which hurts, but I mean, you're kind of in a tough spot. You also, that does allow you to Ring Toss as well, which can give you an extra barrier. Warrior doesn't cast a lot of spells, so neither of these two options on the left and right seem that great. The Rick Bear game is always definitely not going to be useful when this warrior wants to smack you in the face every single turn. So I probably end up going with the, I guess the Netherwind Portal, but maybe Counterspell's better just to stop it. But he goes with Rick Bear game, interesting. So no barrier off of this. Oasis Ally seems like a decent choice, but he goes with Mirror. So he is going to end up killing this Troublemaker as we predicted. And use the Raz trade to be able to clear off the 3-3. Good. I didn't even notice this because I am not that good of a Mage player. But making the trade there, I guess it wasn't going to matter one way or the other. That trade was always going to work out to where the board was clear. So Agent PW just making it a little cuter with the trade into the Troublemaker first to let Combustion do the killing. So either way, results the same. And now Goals has a choice. You always have to attack. Like Barrier, you have no way of killing them unless you have ETC without attacking their face. So you might as well get the info you can now.
I think he's trying to decide whether or not Oasis Ally, because if you use the Warmaul on the 1-3 and Oasis Ally pops up, you get frozen forever. And then you don't likely win from that point.
Yes, the other choice is whether he wants to Alex now, which, I mean, the possibility of Mirror Entity is a little bit scary, but I think you maybe want to save that. And just
yeah, I think as we saw last game, you hold that back a little bit. And he finds a Mirror Entity there, so Feeling good about that so far. And he's about to find out it's not Oasis ally either. So this is actually a risky move that worked out.
So he's just gonna be able to go wide. He has the Shield of Honor for next turn, or this turn if he wants to just ensure that this Moloch has a chance of living.
Well, I
Flame
think
Strike,
using
but
it there also it procs Netherwind Portal if it's up, and then you can use the 4/3 with Divine Shield to get rid of that too.
it's
So
cleared. Yeah.
rapid
tough
fire
spot
secret
for-
ice barrier. He gets the ice barrier.
The Ice Barrier was held in hand. He just wanted to use it to be able to get mana back from the refreshing spring water. But yeah, this is a little bit of an awkward spot. Imagine we see potentially the Ruined Orb clear the
Yeah.
Divine Shield off of the Murloc, and then Flame Strike to leave only the 1/7 alive. Which, I mean, it makes sense the way you described as far as Cole's playing Shield of Honor there on the Murloc, potentially proc Netherwind Portal and clear it right away. There's a decent amount of 4 mana minions that have more than 4 health, so that might not have worked out. I guess he did also have the 1/1. But yeah, this is as good as he can do. That Ice Barrier is going to keep him alive for now. This is pretty interesting. Both players sort of running low on resources. That Playmaker's a pretty good pickup for Coles, having just seen a Flame Strike. Most nature lists these days are only running 1, but it looks like Coles is just going to throw down the Alex to represent as much of a threat as he possibly can. So
I think right there it's fine because it does absorb the Mask of Cthunes as well.
right.
We see that
Absolutely.
latent Canter flow coming into hand now for PWE. Not as helpful at this point. Gonna run out the Font of Power, picks up a Rhyme Tongue, a Pexa Smuggler, and Mordresh. So Mordresh completely useless at this point.
Now, see if PvP opposite of King his own. Dano's looking for.
He is.
Did I play both Brain Freezes? Maybe another Ruined Orb to actually get like a Flurry or something. Plexus Blast. maybe
Pexus
get
Blast
Taunt.
is a possibility.
Yeah, throw it into that Alex because you might get a rush that can finish it off, like Krasinov or the Wall of 5 mana rushers. That is not
Niru is
going to
not a
do it.
rusher.
And that is going to close out game 1 for Coles. So now with PvE's entire selection of classes, I imagine we see a Priest come back as the answer to this Rush Warrior.
That
Priest
is
generally.
Yeah, that is generally the answer to it.
The other option could be if he brought Clown Druid, as that is another pretty decent option to deal with Rush Warrior, although I think I'd probably lean towards Priest. If I was picking between those two decks, and it's possible that PW didn't even bring that particular style of Druid, so money is on the Priest bring here. And that's
Good
what he
money.
did.
Versus Tyrande.
You give me strength.
Arise and carry out our
So Stereo, one of the
lady's
key
will.
cards for Priest in this matchup, and no doubt that he is keeping that in hand. See what else he's got in this Priest list. A lot of different versions out there. Some like Myshire Elementals. We've seen Hockey and Uranium on stream last night, tending towards a Primordial Priest build
Yes, the
with
PP
Flush
Priest.
Giants. The PP Priest. Yes, thank you, Dante. Bringing maturity to this cast as always.
That's
And,
what Hockey called it. I'm just reporting the facts.
I think Hockey actually called it the Big PP Priest. So if we're gonna
Sure.
call it what it is,
Sure, I mean,
let's
okay,
use
yeah. One up
the
me, that's
correct
fine.
name. So, alright, so we see from PDAV's perspective, he's got the early minions that you want from the Priest perspective. Wandmaker and Venomous Scorpid, just throw it in any deck that wants to do something on 2 and 3. For Coles, he's got the Gennard start, along with the Watley, which is a massive card in this particular matchup, because you're almost always going to have time and freedom to play it. So,
Right.
works out pretty well. Both players not too unhappy with the way this game's starting so far.
Yeah, Watley, to my recollection, is actually one of the higher win rate mulligan cards in this deck, in this matchup specifically because of the fact that you will get to play it, and it is just so much gas in your hand. And we saw the Tent Trasher, remember this week, it's Tent Trasher, got tossed back. That is an additional draw for Watley in Coles' deck, so if he does happen to pick up the Alex Drowsy, he still gets some extra value off Watley.
Yeah. PW faced with that tough choice of whether or not you just go ahead and play the Scorpid knowing that the Axe is coming online next turn. Don't really think you have much of a choice. You still need to play it. You still need to spend your mana, get your options ready for future turns. So decent options here because he already has an Apotheosis in hand, opts to go for the Holy Nova. So A decent answer that Priest can have for Playmaker plays with a whole bunch of minions going wide if you don't already have a Condemn or something else to deal with it. So giving himself some different options rather than just stacking up on the Apotheosis.
I like the thought of the coin Runthack here on the 2/2 while using your weapon to clear off the 1/3.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a tough minion for Priest to answer. It looks like Coles is in that direction as well. So
It's about to hit
um,
4 minions in hand, which is pretty good value. I mean,
right.
you can be greedy, but I don't think there's really a point to be more greedy than that.
No, this is fine. I think anytime you have the opportunity to make a play like that with Runzack, just it's something that requires an answer that Priest doesn't always have. And even this Focused Will just turns this into 3/7. So yeah, it's not going to buff the hand anymore, but
It
it's a
will
big
turn into
minion.
a 6/7 this turn, I would imagine. However, PW does have the Shadow or Death.
Yeah, so he may. Okay, so he's just playing out the Playmaker.
Well, I like
So
that because it's interesting now because the Playmaker is a card that also demands an answer. And so if PWE wants to get rid of the 5/4 with his Shadow or Death, then you're still feeling pretty good if you're Coles because you have a 6/7 with Divine Shield
I
that
think the
is
one,
pretty hard to get rid of.
yeah, and it doesn't die on at least 2 Hysteria the way
Right.
this is set up now. We do see that Shadow
I mean, he
Death
could
could
Hysteria the
clean it up.
Runthack and then use the Shadow or Death on it, and it will
Right,
clear the board. Yeah.
right. But Hysteria alone wouldn't have been enough.
Right.
So Cole's, knowing that playing out a big minion, sometimes you want to be careful with that against Priest because you don't want to set up for a very clean Hysteria. But that was not the case in this, and it just so happened that PWE had the answer for the 6/7. But now this Playmaker's alive, and that represents multiple card deaths coming down for
Yeah.
Coles.
Yeah, and that's another way that you can potentially win this matchup is, get extra Kargath primes.
Yeah,
But
just extra stuff that Priest is
that's
gonna have to deal with.
not in your deck normally.
I mean, at this point, the way Cole is winning this matchup is just smacking his opponent in the face repeatedly, playing this as aggressive as possible. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up trading the 5/5 into the 2/2 to keep multiple minions on the board and then swing face. No, he holds the swing because he doesn't have the immediate weapon in hand, so might as well save that for a potential cleanup play if necessary.
Yeah, as we talked about last series, any minion represents healing for a priest because of Apotheosis. So, in general, trying to clear off minions is usually a good strategy. A lot of high value stuff here for PWE. He takes the Malagos, the new Malagos that is, and again, Alexstrasza offered a second time. This time, he will take an Alexstrasza.
So this Condemn is going to kill 2 of the minions, and then Holy Nova is going to kill off the other 2. So that Holy Nova pickup working out pretty well for PWE here in this situation. And he will be able to refill his entire hand that next turn with the Malagos followed by the Desperate Prayer.
Yeah, Watley with the refill here will get one of everything. Bumper car, the Tent Trasher still in the deck, and the Sword Eater.
Yeah, so it's a nice inclusion of the Tent Trasher. It's not always in every list because Cole's already do the Alexstrasza is able to still get the full value off Watley, which is pretty nice. So, and speaking of full value, Malagos giving PWE a full hand of options. So it's starting to turn the corner a little bit for the Priest. He got through the initial aggro that Coles is putting out, and now is in a position where he's going to have potentially answers to all of the threats that the Warriors are going to put out from this point forward. As long as he can keep his life total above the Alex threshold, maybe he should be in a pretty good spot in this game.
Yeah, Cole's opting not to hit the minion, knowing that it's not something he can kill this turn. Likely going to get Apotheosis here, and then he'll have to use the Kargath Prime just to chunk it down, but that's going to result in PW healing 3 times with this minion if he does, in fact, Apotheosis it here.
Right.
Another Desperate Prayer. Oh, Psyche Split too.
Psyche Split. That's pretty massive, considering that Warriors' only way of killing minions is running into them, getting Apotheosis on a, a big dragon, and then copying it seems pretty nuts.
I wonder.
It would be else to do. I'm trying to think of what the punish would be from the Warriors' perspective. They're not running Baroff. I mean, what you've seen from this list from the last game, there's no indication there's any control tools whatsoever. So I think just
Yeah,
Psych Split is a blowout here with Apotheosis and the Psych Split follow up.
exactly. Yeah, it's not game ending at this point, but it might as well be. Two 7/17s that are just going to heal forever.
I mean, ultimately, the way that Warrior can kind of deal with this, we've already seen one of them was the Parade Leader and the Playmaker. That combination, along with some of the minions from Bumper Car, can kind of stack up the damage very quickly and give Warrior one way to ultimately clear this off. But this is going to be a rough slog of it for a turn or two until Cole's able to navigate these two dragons, and he's got one down with one of the primes. If he can find the other one, then that might get him in a decent spot to getting rid of this nuisance.
Yeah, it was about the best he could do at this point. You know that the healing, Agent PWE is going back to full every turn from this point forward until you get rid of that second Malagos.
And I think this is pretty decent minions for PvE. You probably would have liked the Scorpid over one of these Wandmakers, but Wandmakers and Scorpids are pretty happy to get back. I think Malagos might have been a little troubling, just not having the space to put cards in your hand or potentially digging yourself, which could be an issue. So, but that's represented a lot of value. PvE getting the Skeletal Dragon Opticonic Studies, definitely a premier target. So, still feeling like he's in a good spot here overall. I think Coles is in pretty dire need of that other prime now.
Did not get it and has no immediate way to get rid of the Malagos now. Troublemaker.
It's reasonable. It's something to do.
It's something. It is a turn.
It just sort of gets in the way a little bit of what PW is doing. Throwing a 1-1 to 3-4 also makes sense, so that you can get a clean kill with the Troublemaker. You might even swing into it just to maximize the chances that the 3-3s live and represent additional things for PW to deal with. Unfortunately, he did not get the 2s. And Soul Meter represents a decent answer to the Troublemaker. Because he's going to be able to not only heal up the Troublemaker that he got, trade in his 2-2 to that, and just start putting pressure on himself. And again, we were talking about Warrior having a hard time dealing with big minions just to stop them from healing, but at this point, it's dealing with big minions to stop them from killing you. So PW in a very good spot here. And you see the power of Priest in this matchup, and why the PW went to this deck to answer the Rush Warrior.
You gonna cry?
Yeah, this is desperate times here. A taunt is not enough, and this is just the end of the line here for the Warrior. So this is going to be evened up after this turn is over at 1-1.
Yeah, you can technically keep yourself alive on board with the Alex face, but because we see the Alex in the Abuse hand, it's sort of negated. The taunt doesn't quite get there. I guess you can play what else can you do? Tent Trasher also to maybe kill off the Troublemaker, but I think the Alex is still going to be lethal. I'm not doing math right now. I'm just going to trust that it is. 10, yeah, it's still going to be lethal. Even if you kill the Troublemaker with all of this, you still got 5 damage between the minions kill the Sword Eater, and then 10 going face plus Alex. So I think no matter what happens here, this game is over. Going game 3. The Coles will have to pick. Yeah. So try to kill off a couple different minions, but the math stays the same. So Coles now with his Warrior gone will have his Druid banned, correct? So he'll have a choice between the Mage and Rogue.
That is correct.
Both pretty decent options, actually. Depending on how that Rogue is spec'd, some Rogues are better at it than others, but also wouldn't shock me to see the Mage come out. Mage usually has a pretty good time against Priest, generally, as long as you didn't watch last night's stream. But yeah, so 2 good options for Coles here to respond to this Priest and try to get back in the lead of the series.
Let's see what he opts to go with. Personally, I would be going Rogue. I think here.
Yeah, I think it depends on what the Rogue is. If it's a Weapon Rogue, Poison Rogue, then almost certainly that feels pretty good in this matchup. It's a Secret Rogue, probably still feel pretty good. Seeing Wandmakers tells me it's Poison Rogue. Yep. So that looks to be a pretty good choice here. Very polarizing matchup for this deck, and the Priestess won on the high polarity for the Rogue. So
And he gets
it
the
plays out
shank.
that way. Yeah,
The
nice.
shank makes this deck go, provided he can get some poisons, but a couple turns before that becomes an issue.
Certainly, you'll have the time to do that. Having Mankrik as well.
Double shank.
And second shank. Not terrible. You obviously want your first one to do all the work, really. But I guess Priest, there's a chance that you will need both to get all the way through all the healing they can put out. So.
Well, I think the nice thing too here is that he can start swinging with the first shank, wantonly and not be as worried since he doesn't have any poisons yet. Though he can just Mankrik this turn, which he's gonna do.
Absolutely, anytime you can Mankrik on 3 and find your wife on 4, you're definitely going that route.
We have seen that in Masters Tour be a very, very good strategy.
For PvE, so far, you saw the Wandmaker, so that should be your tip off that you're facing the Poison Rogue. So basically, now your game plan is to put out as much stuff in the way as you can.
Wait, he hasn't seen the Wandmaker yet. The Wandmaker got.
Oh, the Wandmaker's from
Mulligan.
PvE side. Yeah. So I was looking at the plate. So Mankrik is a option in any rogue. So yeah.
Yes, yeah. So right now, PWE still does not know for sure.
Right.
And there's Deadly Poison on time.
I think after this turn, he is going to know what he's up against.
Undoubtedly.
So, yeah. Sorry for the call there. But so Coles, starting with a swing, not to the base, if you want to try out the Scorpid. But it won't be too long before that shank is shanking Priest directly to the noggin. So
he's got Swindle online next turn with the Sinister Strike. If he can find more poisons, especially that Silverleaf poison, start churning through this deck, it could be very, very dangerous. We've seen that happen with this rogue. It is a menace when it gets going.
I think this is a decent option for PWE here playing Mankrik himself. It's something that depending on whether the rogue is running a coerce or not, it could be something that he can stick and add Apotheosis to and gain back a lot.
There's the Silverleaf.
Big pickup. So I think, at this point, this is the starting to go face turn.
Right. Yeah, Coles no longer cares at all about what you do on board, and there's no Apotheosis in hand, which is phenomenal news for Coles, because it obviously would have come down right here if it was there.
We do see several renews in hand for PWE, so he still has the option to find it if he wants to.
Right.
Interesting, he's holding back for now. I wonder what the thought process is on that. Maybe just to give your opponent false sense of security on how much damage they can do, and then how much healing they're capable of. Maybe
Poison Maker.
Zarella. Wow.
Yeah, Wandmaker almost certainly going to give you a poison, and it's paralytic in this case, so it is a new poison to add to I guess it's the Kingsbane spiritual successor in a way. And there's the Coerce.
Okay, so that's a good option for him later. I wonder if he plays both these prize plunderers now.
I think having the Coerce, you might.
Yeah. Just to keep the pressure going. Stop an immediate Apotheosis answer. Basically, if you can put the priest in a position to not be able to use it, then now your next goal is to somehow get your minions killed, so the Apotheosis into Hysteria isn't even an option.
Start with a Renew, still no Apotheosis. Wave of
Yeah, good
Apathy is the
not that great.
best of the options.
Nah, I think Spirits is fine. It's just something to put in the way. Crimson Hothead seems pretty good here.
Yeah, Hothead is fine because it is activatable right now as a taunt.
You've got me fired up.
Usually with the Condemn as well. So we do see that Coles has the answer in the Coerce to be able to continue pushing his damage base. But right now, not a good way to activate it. There
Well,
it is.
a very good way to activate it in Cutting Class. And second Coerce, why not?
Sinister Strike.
Does he rip the Secret Passage here to try and find more poison?
I think so, because
He
there's
does.
nothing else you want to do. Yeah.
Wicked Stab. Second Secret Passage. Cutting Claw. Yeah, more draw. And Swindle, even more draw.
I think Cutting Class and Swindle are really good pickups. You can save that stab for later. Because against Priest, it's not unlikely that it'll
And there's
be.
Wife.
Hey, I like to see that. So a lot of things going right for Coles here, showing why this can be a very tough matchup for the Priest.
Angry Wife. Angry Life.
I think this should be Swindle as well, although you could opt to just throw out another poison and draw that way.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say Swindle will get you 2, Poison gets you 2, and a durability. So I do like the Poison there. And now you do some prep.
A lot of good stuff here. So
What was that?
I said a lot of good stuff here.
Oh,
This worked out pretty well for Coles.
sorry, I thought you said I got stuck here like your client stuck.
No, I have not. I'm still free to spectate as much as I want. Can still make terrible callings as much as I want, so not stuck whatsoever.
Renew finds a Hysteria.
That's something. There's nothing to Hysteria into yet. You
No,
find a
Palm
Scorpion or
Reading
something.
too. Shadow or Death is not an option.
Mm-mm.
At least not if
No.
he would like to kill the 310.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. This is dicey. Gets another taunt at least. 2 options for taunts here: Skeletal Dragon or the Crimson Hothead.
Between Prep, Coerce, and the Wicked Stab,
Yeah.
and the Sinister Strike, though, that's more than enough damage. Oh, we're going to see a Lucia.
Lucia. Yeah, maybe looking for the Coerce on his own. So this is going to pay off decently well for PvE. Being able to use the Prep, being able to use the Coerce.
He can Cloak as well. No,
Even
he's not. Yeah.
Stab, just dumping out a lot of stuff. Not bad. And I wouldn't have minded One Maker in either instead of, I guess he just wants to throw all the damage.
Yeah, every bit of damage gone.
Yeah. So now if you're Coles, what do you want to get rid of? You probably want to get rid of this taunt. You might opt to use the Auspicious Spears as well, even though it's not corrupted, just to have another minion on the board.
And you probably don't swing. You don't want to give him 2 draws, right?
Correct. Yeah, you have to hold the swing. Yeah, that is accurate.
Yeah, you know what you're giving back. You're giving back Soul Mirror, which can kill this Kazakus. Hysteria, it cannot kill everything. Right. So for what he's looking at, I mean, at least one of these minions is likely to survive. But this Palm Reading comes down, and the Desperate Prayer.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, that might be the only option here.
Especially if Insight pulls Zarella. Light Shower. That's a big pickup.
Yeah, so this is more of the Heal Priest variant rather than the straight up Control Priest.
Yeah, with some of the tools that actually deal with this Poison Red reasonably well, that taunt in the way not only represents damage being stopped, but also healing. And all of a sudden, that Lucia getting rid of a bunch of damage and finding the Light Shower PoE is looking to be in a really good position now. It can be tough for Coles to ultimately find a way through.
Well, Brain Freeze is a way. Brain Freeze plus that Kazakus gets rid of the 6/6. Yes, it's big heal, but it lets him at least continue to get some damage to face.
Right. Yeah. So this will so the Kazakus and the Brain Freeze, PvE heals back up to 28, and then Coles will send 9 damage back to face. We'll be down to 1 Wicked Stab left in the deck.
He'll be drawing 2 as well.
Right. Yeah, he's down to 8 cards, so he's gonna basically have the entire deck drawn in two more turns essentially. So see, that's enough because right now PoE does not have the answer to this in his hand. So another poison pickup.
Paralytic.
Yeah, so I wonder if Coles might opt to allow this Shank to expire and then bring the poisons up on the second Shank so he's not fatiguing himself by continuing to swing this one. So this might be the last swing that we get out of this particular Shank, given the number of cards in his deck.
That being said, does he feel like he's dead either way? Like, he might just feel like I'm not going to win this game if it goes past the next 2 turns anyway, and I'd rather have a 7/3 Shank.
Right.
Plus the Deadly Poison still in deck as well, so it could
true.
be a 9/4 Shank if, or sorry, a 10/4 Shank. No, 9-4. It's +2, not +3. If all goes well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's probably correct. I guess knowing what you know about PW's hand, that his options are pretty
Yeah.
limited here.
Yeah, there's
So,
only one card in hand, and that's Samuro that just got drawn that you don't know. And without an Apotheosis, it is not helpful. But we're going to see at least Taunt here for PWE thanks to that Soul Mirror.
yeah.
Oh, Hysteria is dangerous, though. 'Cause it takes the Taunt away.
Well, the taunt's gone no matter what, right?
Yeah, I guess
So
it is gone no matter what, so...
There's a chance. We've seen both prize plunderers. I'm trying to think of what else could be in the deck. I mean, maybe he's thinking there could be like a Pinplane or something. I don't think that's in the lists anymore, but possibilities
Just
for
rip the
for
poisons and
killer.
Secret Passage here and get everything you got.
Yeah, do you even need a Secret Passage? I guess so.
I mean, more swings
Yeah,
with the
might as well.
with the shank, yeah.
Right.
He's going to
Get the
draw.
poisons.
He's going to overdraw if he swings with the shank, though, which he might be fine with.
Because you get everything in your deck no matter what. So what is the way that prevents the most fatigue? It might be swing first. No, I guess you want to get
No,
the
you
poisons
want
first.
the poisons
Yeah,
first at this
right.
point. Yeah, you want as much damage as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely don't play the Swindle. I'll tell you that much.
Nah. Yeah. All right. So this is basically the last damage push now.
Yeah, you don't play the Prep. You don't play the Swindle. You want as many cards in deck as possible. Yeah, Coles is well. There's a self-sharpening sword, so at least it's a little bit more damage that he can continue to put out over the next few turns. But if he, there's the Apotheosis, worst timing. Though if he puts no minions, so there's no way for him to die.
I think the problem for Coles there is not playing the cloak.
They're not playing the Cloak first. Is it going to matter though?
He can't kill the Lucia. Does he out damage it? Over two
Well,
turns?
he can Cloak of Shadows this turn,
This turn, right, okay.
and
So,
then they can't hit anything. He's not going to play a minion, so he's going to take 2 fatigue, and then
mhm.
he'll take 3 off the top to drop to 13. He'll take 4 and 5 when he swings to drop down
So he
to
got
7.
there.
Yeah, he got there.
Wow, close. I'm not good at this poison rogue deck.
It is one of those decks that it just wins sometimes. It just wins no matter the matchup. And Poison Rogue takes game 3.
Yeah, well played by Coles. And PWE did some good play there as well to make that a challenge, but Coles navigated that extremely well and definitely earned that victory. So
Yeah, with the
All
Elucia,
right.
I thought that PWE might have swung it in his favor there, but had a couple kind of brick draws after that, like drawing that second Shadow or Death, getting Samuro with no Apotheosis and nothing to play it into, and yeah, just allowed Coles to finish it off.
yeah, so here comes the Druid. Between the Druid and the Rogue for PWE. Imagine this is a token Druid, which should be aggressive enough on the board to just run over the Poison Rogue, which is what he's going to be looking to do as fast as possible. We haven't quite seen the rest of the cards to know that for sure. But that's going to be my guess. I think the key for Coles that last game was getting both of the draw poisons out as soon as he did, because that allowed him to cycle through his entire deck. It basically outraced the Priest's ability to keep up with the resources that
That's truly the danger of the deck. Is it draws fast, it wins fast, and even sometimes when the game goes a little bit longer, it can still have enough juice to get there. And we saw, PWE got rid of a bunch of stuff from Coles' hand.
Right. Yep. And it's still wasn't enough. So yeah, definitely token Druid for PWE here. Not a great start. He has no minion generator. Well, take it back. The sentries are fine, but not a Gibberling, not a Fungal Fortunes, not a Glowfly, things that you really want to be able to put out the pressure that you need to deal with this Poison Rogue.
Well, there's that Silver Leaf. So Coles has the Self-Sharpening Sword instead of the Swine Shank Tusk.
Mm-hmm. I think 2 is like right on the line between more or less. So PWE guesses correctly. I think the thought process there too is when it's kind of close like that, If you draw the lesser one, it kind of, more likely you can play that next turn. Like if it had been Gibberling or something, you only get that plus your other draw.
Well, and there's that
Worked out pretty
Gibberling.
well. And then finds the Gibberling. This is going to be a pretty big turn. Let's see. Gibberling and the Bloom, the Flow, basically play just about everything.
Yeah, you can use
Is
the
there a way you can also
Lunar,
put the Pride
to hit the
Fury?
3/4 now as well. So
Yeah. So I think he's just trying to decide how much of his hand he wants to dump here, or if he just wants to put out a Prize Fury on the minis that he creates.
I mean, honestly,
Which
as
is-
against a rogue, you usually want to dump as much as you humanly can to maximize. He picks up a
Wow,
second
another
Lunar
Lunar
first.
Eclipse is great. 'Cause
Yeah,
now you can
it's
just Eclipse,
pretty
Eclipse, and then
busted there.
Pride Fury. Yeah, this is really great for PWE. It's a good pickup.
Yeah, rogues don't have board clear wide at all. So yeah, I think this is more than over at this point. Unfortunately for Coles, it's what do
Yeah.
you do? You
Yeah,
picked up the shank, but I mean you're just dead in the next 3 turns.
Yep. So you'll likely be relying on your mage to be a token druid, which is pretty reasonable, I think. We've done this before. I don't think we're wrong here, but calling a game over this fast is always dicey.
Yeah,
You never know, because there is Cloak of Shadows.
sure.
Self-Sharpening Sword can get pretty big pretty fast. The Druid doesn't heal.
He's got
Granted,
more
there
buffs.
are taunts, but more buffs is pretty frightening for PWE. So this is over.
I've just been on the receiving end of this beatdown as the rogue enough times that I guess I'm a little scarred. A little scarred.
Yeah, you know how this goes. Yeah, I don't know. There's, I mean, Cloak plus poison plus Cloak plus more poison. There's no way. So I think we're moving on to game 5. Hey, he's immune while he's attacking, so he can kill one of these without taking damage back.
This is
Oh,
true.
he can't kill it. He doesn't have damage.
You don't take
I guess with the Plunderer, he already gets there to kill one minion. So that's something. But he's still dead to the Adult Manifestation plus the Hero
Right.
So
What I want. Job's
a
done.
valiant effort by Coles to deal with a Gibberling start. Oh goodness.
Extra.
Just so adorable.
The cutest death. And we will move on to game 5, just like that.
It's interesting with Hero in this meta. I would say like the top tier decks, Paladins, the non-poison rogues, warriors, mage, even priest to some extent, have pretty even matchups with each other. But then when you get into hero, you can kind of take some of these fringe choices like poison rogue and token druid, and really like go way on the edges of what is a top tier deck, but also that has like the crazy matchup swings. And so you get games like that where it's just over immediately just because of the queue. So I think this one's a little more even between the druid and mage. There are starts from the druid that just absolutely destroy this game, but if they don't hit it, then it does get into a pretty interesting back and forth. So looking at this hand from PWE with all the draw he possibly wants, this could be enough for what he wants to really kind of dominate this mage.
Job's done.
Yeah, looking at this is actually a fairly even matchup. Token Druid is 52% favored, so slight favor for the Token Druid. I guess it really is going to come down to does PW get the buffs fast enough, or Coles get the board clears fast enough?
And Coles gets a really nice pickup upon power with this Prisoned Observer that he's going to be able to play probably next turn. It will essentially just stall out PWE from developing. So it'll stop the Glowfly turn on 5. It'll stop any Gibberling shenanigans along the way. So it gives him time to find more answers. He's got Devolving Missiles, he's got Flame Strike, a lot of tools that Mage needs to do well in this matchup. Cole already has, and now he's going to have the time to do it because it's the Prisoned Observer. So PWE, I mean, I guess he could draw Gibberlings just to clear his hand a little bit and get a little bit of damage next turn. But
If he does pick up the Pride's Fury again,
yeah,
then that would
right.
be enough to keep them alive. But it's not in hand
Soul of
right
Forest
now.
also is a possibility. Yeah, so he's gonna go for it. There's the Soul of Forest, so you will have that option for next turn to sort of negate the power of that Observer. So I like the risk taking there by PWE just to try to find that answer along the way with the tools he had his hand between Pummel Fortunes and Nature Studies. It's a pretty reasonable risk to take, and most likely he's gonna get rewarded
Mhm.
for it. Yeah, because from Cole's perspective, I mean, you got your Observer coming down on the next turn, so flow ping seems perfectly fine. Easy Soul Force, always 1/1s turn into 2/2s.
Yeah, as we expected once we saw that Soul of the Forest take, this is the route that PWE wants to go. Here goes the Observer. And after Cole's, this top deck here is very important because you're still 2 turns away after this from Flame Strike. Cram Session does let you get some draw here with this Primordial Studies.
Yeah, Studies into Combustion potentially for 2 mana. Off the flow.
There it is. Wow. You have done that a couple times tonight, my friend, where you've called exactly what's about to happen. And that was very, very fortuitous for Coles. He didn't have too many great answers to that Soul of the Forest, and that was one of them.
Yeah. But PWE does have the answer with the Glowfly. He does have potentially the choice of, I think probably you're just playing the Glowfly now.
I think I like clearing first and then getting max Glowfly
Yeah,
value,
yeah. Filling up the 3/2. Sorry, yeah, I should have clarified that. But Glowfly now before the Flame Strike turn. Granted, he could have drawn a Flame Strike. That's cheaper, but this way he kind of forced him to have it this turn in that very small window of discounted cards being a Flame Strike. So
Well, he's about to draw 4 cards, and there's this Combustion. You can use the
Combustion,
Refreshing now. Would it have been better to lead with the Refreshing?
Um, possibly. I mean, you wanted to spend some mana, so it makes sense that Arcane Elect was the choice to spend that mana. Because he's still going to be able to Combustion. He's still going to be able to clear
You
off.
can you can get rid of 4 minions here.
Which isn't too bad. I mean, it's not everything, but it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it's likely that you're not dead this turn anymore, whereas some Solar Eclipse plus Arbor Up shenanigans would have been absolutely devastating. So actually right now, Arbor Up is the one card of all the cards that PW has. It's the one card he's missing.
Right. I'm curious now what PvP is
Actually missing
looking
the
at.
Pride as well.
Yeah, going into the Flame Strike turn.
What?
If he opts to try to find it with a resizing pouch, set himself to the 4-mana Discover to pick one of those two to get out of range. Let's see. The Prize Fury wouldn't do it because it's a +1/+3, right? So he would need to Pyro the Wild and then Innervate on top of it. So let's see what he goes for here. It is going to be the resizing pouch, or he's going to take a different one. Okay, so he's just going to keep trying and
Time waits for no one.
kind of take a middle route here of not necessarily maybe expecting this board to live, but making it threatening enough to get Coles to deal with it.
Yeah, that's what it looks like he's going to do. He uses that Power of the Wild. Gets some face damage, but yeah, that Flame Strike in hand will do. Oh, it's Solarian Prime off the top too for a little bit of a prayer in a couple turns if necessary. Quickest turn from Coles there, you just get rid of the board.
So PvE, now basically it's a fight between whether he can ever stick any minions again. Because if he does, he probably wins. But the mage has so many tools and ways to keep that from happening. So it's just going to be how many more times that he can get through. how many more boards he can build. Glowfly is a good option. He has Solar into Thornville Sentries as an option. Guidance can give him a couple more options. So yeah, PW is just going to keep putting stuff out there and see how many of them Cole is going to ultimately be able to answer. The one thing that Cole, PW has for him that isn't always the case is basically burst from hand with the Moon Touched Amulet, and so it represents potentially 8 damage that Mage might not be expecting, because normally when you're coming into this matchup as the Mage, you're just thinking entirely of keeping stuff off the board.
Right.
But that Amulet could change the map a little bit for PW here. Another refreshing screen there. So Cole's basically has his entire deck. You know, there comes a point where as a Mage, you want to start throwing some damage at the Druid's face. So you can just kill him, basically. He's not quite there yet because he still has to answer this, and he currently doesn't have any guaranteed way to do it.
Yeah.
Mask takes care of
You probably start with a ping
a
here,
lot.
right? Yeah. Ping
Ping.
water, and then you survey.
Yeah,
There's a
could
fireball.
be Mask again. So he's
Rune
got
Orb
Cheat
is
Burn.
away.
So I'm thinking that Mass is coming down
Oh,
now.
Shooting
Shooting
Star.
Absolutely, Mass is coming down now. This is a pretty good setup for the Mage to Star then Mask. It was a good pickup there.
9 damage to face, and a clear board once more for PWE. Pulls the Adorable Infestation.
So for 9 mana, Coles can do 17 damage. So he's pretty close.
But he can't afford to let this board live once more. Hog Rancher, most likely? Nope. The mini mage. Gonna go with the
Looking for
stealth
something.
minion.
Yeah, that he thinks gets stuck on the board because, you know, we've seen some. Wow.
Because you can play Solarian and then play Shooting Star,
Yeah.
and odds are strong that you're going to get rid of this board.
Yep.
What's in the box? Primordial Studies. Ice Barrier is
Ice
very
Barrier.
good. Ring Toss is
Yeah.
a
Ring Fair game.
Ring Fair game.
Flurry, and a
combustion.
combustion. My
Oh
goodness.
well, it didn't hit perfectly,
That
but Shooting
doesn't
Star
matter.
hits.
The
Yeah,
shooting star takes care of it.
What
Yeah.
a draw! What a roll!
The Solarian delivered there for Coles. You know, it's always a debate with the no minion mage as to whether or not you want to take Solarian, stick the Prime in the deck. And there are times where it just absolutely pays off, and this is definitely one of those times.
Cole's doing a little count. We can see him mousing the cards. With the Blood Mage Thalnos in hand, it is just straight lethal.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah, I mean,
like from hand, even if he was able to put a taunt in the way.
right. You know, but won't be the
Well
case,
played,
and
well played.
off the power of this Solarian Prime, Coles is going to take Game 5 and take the
My
series.
hand.
Gande, cast a curse. It's over. You did it.
All he had to do was not submit a ban. That was
And
incredible.
you were worried.
I was very worried.
No, that was a really well played series. Got a couple very lopsided matches that ended up being closer than we thought. One that did go the way we thought. But overall, I think both players played their decks extremely well. What do you expect out of both these players, both these one
Right.
seeds, just long time THL dominators, and definitely got our money's worth tonight. So hopefully everyone contributed
Sure
a
did.
sub to the stream, because you still got your money's worth if you did that. So good matches, fun to cast, and hopefully fun to watch.
Well, we'll see if Coles is up for an interview after that. He said he is. Okay. All right, let's get him in here. Coles, can you hear us?
Well, hello.
Hello.
Hey. Well, congrats on the win, first of all. And thank you for breaking my caster curse.
You know, thank you guys for telling me that the Warrior ban was the play. So
I don't remember saying a thing. I've been gone all day, but I understand it. Yeah, that was going to be our first question. I would
Listen to
imagine.
this. Listen to this captain like abdicating duty and being like, "Oh, it's not my fault. I'm sorry, Dande. Your name is listed with the C, so it's 100%
It's
your
true.
fault."
It's true. It's on my shirt too.
yeah.
Yeah, that's sad. Well, so that last game was definitely a nail biter. Obviously, you had the flame strike in hand to start, and we're just praying that you can get to the point where it would be useful. But you definitely got a couple good rolls there afterwards. The shooting stars, particularly the prime, obviously at the end. How did you feel navigating that one against the druid?
I mean, it was a very close game. I got the 3-5 to start that really also helped out because
Yes.
it clear that I shouldn't have had. So sort of got lucky on the cards, and yeah, it's a close matchup. But yeah, I was kind of when I queued Rogue into the Priest instead of Mage, I was hoping to go Druid into Mage to end instead of Mage into Rogue.
Well, it
That makes
definitely worked
sense.
out. Yeah.
Having to navigate the full suite of classes that your opponent brought, that definitely played into the keyword. I think that was smart. But I think the rogue game against not the druid because that was whatever, but against the priest was pretty impressive. So what was going through your mind when you played Alucia and don't tap your hand? And what was your thought process there in recovering?
Uh, at least I'm getting to play their taunt minion because otherwise I'm screwed. Was basically that, and I was like, I don't know if I have enough damage to get there before I kill myself, but we'll see. And just barely enough. Turns out, one more draw and I died.
How much math do you do ahead of time in situations like that, or do you just play it and hope it works out?
So I didn't play the prep, for example, because I was like, I need to keep that card in my deck or I'll die.
Yes.
So I was keeping track of the most cards that I could possibly play.
Yeah, that was something we talked about too. Yeah, obviously you were never playing the swindle, but keeping the prep in there was the difference, between winning and losing because you would have died had you done that. How many reps do you have on the poison rogue? Because it seems like it's pretty straightforward. You want to draw your whole deck, you want to start swinging face, but a game like that is not the typical poison rogue game. It went many turns beyond what you would normally expect. So, do you have a whole lot of experience in that matchup?
So I played 2 games of Poison Rogue tonight, so I think
I kind of knew what the answer was going to be. Well,
And yet you ask.
it's not
Yeah.
the kind of deck that I usually enjoy playing, but had to play it for the matchups.
Well, I will ask you one final question in case Isocles wants to ask anything more, but this will be my last question. Legend when?
When it's not monthly resets, maybe.
Okay. It's a good answer.
How much help did Ron Mexico give you in preparing for this matchup?
I think he said don't bring Murloc Paladin, and that's about it.
He did say that. I can confirm that. He said that.
That's excellent preparation. So I think that's all you needed in order to get this victory. So you should definitely give him a lot of credit there.
Well,
Because this is the only team that I'm not paired with Ron. He's on my legacy and pro team. So he's off doing his own thing. I have no idea what he talks about on the hero side. So I'm very curious.
yeah, we had to
how that
steal
works
him.
out.
We had to steal him somewhere. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm actually like a decent PR in hero, so we can't play together. But that's okay.
Whoops.
Oops.
Gotta manage better, my friend.
Yeah, manage your PR a little bit.
Yeah, maybe I'll have you swap in for him when we play each other, so I don't have to play him in hero. I can play you, Coles. You can beat me.
As long as I win, I guess that's fine. Helping you manage your PR.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
Isocles is a top 100 gamer now, so I think we have to give him a little respect.
Hold on. I'm looking at my rank right now. It's I think silver 2, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Last month.
I mean, I did keep my times 10, getting up to gold
There you go.
10 or whatever I got up to last month.
It's all about the caches. Well, I guess thank you for subbing for us this week for Ron, who did obviously play in the Masters Tour. Anything else you'd like to say before we finish up for the night?
Thanks for casting. GG's.
All right. thanks for coming on for the interview.
Talk to you guys later.
Have a good night. Alrighty, so a full 10 games between the two series there for us Ice Cleese. It's been a long one tonight.
We did it. We made it through.
We did it. Some thought we
We
might
didn't
not.
get fired.
We didn't. Yep, we didn't get fired. We didn't say the L word unless it was referring to Grandmasters or Masters. So we did pretty good all around. I'm proud of you.
High five.
High five indeed. Yes. So yeah, exciting series, exciting fun, and always good to be here. So I personally will be gone for the next 3 weeks. So I know. Fish will be taking over. It's much appreciated. So, Ice Cleese, you're welcome to hang with our buddy Dr. Fish, and you got your vaccine. I'll be getting mine this upcoming Friday, but I'm on Team Moderna, so I'm on team probably going to be laying in bed for most of Saturday. So that's
My wife did okay. She actually didn't have any side effects at all.
well, your wife is stronger than me, I guess, is what my
I
wife would
believe.
say. No, my wife admits fully that I am the biggest wimp when it comes to being sick. So,
Ah.
yeah, it's all right. So that's exciting time. So hopefully you hold it down while I'm gone. Should be some quality matches over the next few weeks. Thank
I'll
you
do
for
my
being
best.
here. Yeah, and I know you will. Thanks to everybody for being on stream tonight. Stream will be back again tomorrow afternoon with some wild school zone going into tomorrow evening, where we have I think the first tournament, the first Wicked Wednesday,
Wicked Sunday.
Wicked Sunday, as you brought up earlier. So maybe see a little bit of it on stream. We'll see some BGs. It should be a good time. So check us out tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great night.
Sure.